in our marriages? How do we improve that romantic thrill in our marriage? That's what Brian is going to take us through. My work is just to introduce what the church says, the doctrine, the moral teaching, so that we can put in context what we are talking about. So this conversation is going to be guided, and I'm setting the context. What does the church say? My name is Raymond Terezo. I'm part of the Marriage and Family Ministry of St.Charles Catholic Parish in Tindo. And we are very many. We shall introduce them later as we continue. Now, this topic starts right away from our vows. That's what we say. The vows we say on our wedding day, to have and to do what? To hold. Those beautiful words, sometimes we say them without knowing. To have is to receive without reservation the total self-gift of the other, that you are receiving the total self-gift of your wife, of your husband. And to hold is a pledge of physical affection and tenderness, a vow to be available to the other in body and soul. And that's where sex comes in. Because in church there are children, you don't say to have sex, to have, and to have, you say to hold. So this is the basis for our conversation this evening. How do we improve our holding each other, our enjoying each other? Now, the way we are nurtured is that we are very cautious when talking about this topic of sex. Some people even cover their eyes, and I've been telling Brian, when Brian is talking about this topic, he's normally open and free. I've been telling him our context here. You need to call it a flower, not a what? No, the flower, what, not a what? Yeah, because of our context. And this is made worse by what we observe. There's an eclipse of truth about what a person, a man is supposed to be. And also, there's pressure to reduce sex to something that is commonplace. Yet it's not supposed to be commonplace. We are going to see that sex is holy. Our society and the media, especially social media, has depersonalized sex. Sometimes they even call it recreational, and they provide pessimistic information. So this is due to the loss of values that are prevalent in society. Now, we have to talk about sex because it has an intimate bond with the region. This is because sex is not just matter, but sex is matter and form. What is matter? Matter is the stuff out of which things are made, like a brick. A brick is made out of mud, but it has form, shape, and purpose. And that is the form that gives this shape, structure, functions, and powers. So it's matter. The matter of sex is the physical power of generation, the flesh that we have. But the form of sex is its power to share in the creative purpose of God. And that's where we raise sex at that level. It has an element of God, because out of it, we share on the creative power of God. So because sex is related to creativity and God is the source of all creativity, sex has an intimate bond with the region, because it is a co-share in creation, and because man and woman are God's co-workers in mining, in getting out humanity. There's an excellence about the sex act. That's why all peoples, even our cultures, associate marriage with a religious ceremony. So sex is not commonplace, it's not a simple matter to joke with. And that takes us this issue of some people who are shy to talk about sex. It is not shameful. That's why shame only came in when Adam and Eve had sinned. But before they sinned, they didn't feel like they were naked. Nakedness comes in when they had misused sex. The nakedness without shame was due in part to the inner spiritual perfection. When they were spiritually perfect, they were not naked. But when they disobeyed God, that's when the nakedness came in. So sex is not supposed to be shameful. Yeah. There are some people, even after their wedding, the husband wants to see, and you are there saying, my mother now knows it's not supposed to be shameful. That's why we have the courage to talk about that topic here at church. Now, sex is what? Sex is holy. We are living in a society overwhelmed by consumer pressures, and where it is almost socially acceptable for sexuality to be trivialized and reduced to a consumer object. We are saying sex is holy. For the Catholic Church, we are saying sex is holy. It's a mystery that must be presented according to the doctrinal and moral teaching of the church. We are all called to live our own sexuality in conformity with the Christian principles. That's why even when you are raising your children, you should raise them, you should form their conscience according to the spiritual values. What does God say? Because all these things are related to God. Why did God intend to create sex? Now, in the discussion of sex and its holiness, we need to always bear in mind the effects of original sin. It's important to note that before original sin, there was far greater pleasure in sex. These things that we are enjoying now, beware of. Adam and Eve, before they sinned, they had greater pleasure. But because they disturbed the equilibrium of human nature, and the harmony of their nature also became disturbed, and therefore sex became disturbed. That's why some people ask, how can I get so much pleasure out of sex? We have been in marriage 20 years, but I've never enjoyed like I want to. It's because after sin, we disturb the equilibrium of nature, and therefore the pleasure is not as God intended. So after sin, there sprang up libido, concupiscence. You just love a woman to use her. Abnormality was introduced where legitimate love became selfishness. Instead of enjoying each other, make sure your wife, your husband has enjoyed satisfaction. It is about you. The union of two in one flesh became only sex, and that's the modern sense of the term, which we are saying we should avoid. Yeah, because sex in the modern time is only limited to pleasure, where sex is separated from love, and those two are inseparable. Because there is no such thing as giving the body without giving the soul. Those two are inseparable. We want to proceed on the premise that if love does not climb, it falls. If like the flame does not burn upward to the sun, it burns downward to destroy. If the sex does not mount to heaven, sex descends into hell. The separation of soul and body is death. And those who do it, who separate sex and spirit, are rehearsing for death. So that's the context in which we shall be talking about sex. And that's why we say, before you indulge in sex, you first have to have the sacrament of holy matrimony, where your nature is then made purer. Then you can enjoy your sex as from the beginning as God intended. And matrimonial love makes our bodies capable of more exquisite sensations. You enjoy more you enjoy the thrill more when you do it the God's way. Now, some people do sex because they love happiness. But if you do sex the way God didn't intend, you will not get happiness, because happiness consists in interiority of the spirit. It is the involvement of your personality in relationship to a heavenly destiny. So you have to relate your sexual act to God. A person who has no purpose in life is unhappy. He who exercises his life and is dominated or subjected by what is outside himself spends his energy on external things without understanding its mystery is unhappy to the point of melancholy. So if you just indulge in sex, sometimes instead of happiness, you just get sadness. There's a feeling of being hungry after having eaten, or being disgusted with the food because it has nourished not the body in the case of an individual, or another body in the case of marriage. If you indulge in sex with a view of not loving your wife or your husband, maybe you are just in the lodge, you have that feeling of being hungry even when you have eaten, and your conscience starts telling you that there's something wrong with the act you have done. That's the modern way that we should avoid of looking at sex only from the point of view of enjoyment and pleasure, and not from the point of view of love. Now, the Bible talks very well about sex. It says sex is good. When you read Genesis 1:27, where after God had created them, he said, wow, this is good. Even after Eve had been created, the man said, wow, this is good. So sex is good. When you read Song of Songs 1-8, says sex is God's plan and a great gift of God, who placed the ability to generate life in the human body and thereby sharing his creative power with us. In God's view, there's a mutuality of experience between husband and wife, and each has an equal right to the other's body. So the Bible gives us these principles about sex. When you read 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3-5, it gives us these three principles. Principle number one, that there is a principle of need, that all of us have that need for sex. Don't even ever pretend that you don't need it. You need it. You need it. So it is okay to ask your husband for sex. You need it. The other principle is the principle of authority. And then the third is the principle of habit. The principle of need reminds us that as married couples, it is mandatory to meet your wife's sexual needs. It's mandatory. It's mandatory to meet your husband's sexual needs because we both have them. Brian will augment on that point, but it is mandatory. You have to do everything that you can to meet your wife's what? Needs. Oba olya mulondo, oba ositula biki, oba ogenda mu jimu, olina okukola ekisoboka okulaba nti mukazi wo akoze ki? Akuse. Because gwe yalonda teri muki mulala. Tomugamba agende wala nti neiba nyambaako. Brian ajja twongererako. Kyova tulese Brian. Now the question will be, how do I ensure that my wife, you note that question, how do I ensure that my wife every day, every time, not every day, yeah, but we have that, it's mandatory. Principle of authority, when we marry, we actually relinquish the right to our body and turn that authority to our spouse. So you don't have power to deny your husband, your wife, because the wife's body now belongs to the husband and the husband's body belongs to the wife. The last principle is the principle of habit, that we must not cheat our spouse by abstaining from the habit of sex, except by mutual consent for a brief period of time. Maybe you are fasting. Because if we break this commandment and defraud our spouse by withholding habitual sexual lovemaking, we surely open our marriage to satanic temptations. So we have to make every effort to provide our spouse with good securities as a habitual part of your life together. The key word is there, habitual. That's the key word. Habitual. So you will tell us what is habitual. Is it every day? Is it every time? Okay. So let's look at these principles that the church gives us, because we are setting parameters of how our sexual conduct should be evaluated. If it meets these 7, then it is okay. Personal love and freedom, respect and reverence for the other as a person, honesty, fidelity, social responsibility, service to life, and joy. If your sexual act meets those 7, in the eyes of the church, it is okay. If it substantially breaks one or many of those, then what you are indulging in is not good. Very quickly, what is personal love and freedom? Personal love and freedom is that your sexual acts, you have to ensure that it is fulfilling. It is fulfilling for your husband, for your wife. It is fulfilling. That you have to meet each other's needs. And this is where the men will go wrong. That sometimes we just meet our own needs and not our spouses. So, in personal love and freedom, always ensure that the sexual act is liberating. It's not self-enslaving. It must be liberating. Si lutalo, kuteka abantu kumiguwa. These things they say, when your aunties are talking to you, they say, Osaja waya galira, take awo. That is wrong. In marriage, you have to convince each other. Don't take it for granted. And that's where it becomes boring. Because you are married, you just say, hey, spread your legs. It's not about that. It must be liberating. It's not enslaving because I'm a wife, therefore, no. There must be that freedom. Number 2, value number 2 that you have to look at is respect and reverence for the other as a what? As a person. We are called to a higher kind of life than concupiscence, which only sees objects. Concupiscence, where, for example, if I've erected, I just want to be satisfied, that's concupiscence. That kind of attitude sees objects as means to satisfy one's appetites. Our love needs to be one of friendship and self-giving, where we are freed from the tendency to selfishness by the love of the others, with the capacity to recognize and love persons for themselves. And that's where respect comes in. Because a person is an incarnate spirit, soul, and body. Human love hence embraces the body, and the body expresses spiritual love. Therefore, sexuality is not something just biological. Rather, it concerns the intimate nucleus of the person. The use of sexuality as physical giving has its own truth and reaches its full meaning when it expresses the personal giving of man and woman, even unto death. Therefore, your sexual expression of self to your wife, to your husband, must always show a genuine interest in and concern for the well-being of that other. You have to put in consideration, by this sexual act, am I making my wife better, my husband better? Your husband is tired, he wants to sleep, or mutakula takula. Am I making my husband better? Am I concerned for his well-being? Yeah. So there's this tendency where we have just reduced and cheapened sex to just about getting a release. That means you are not respecting the person you are with, because sex is not just about release. One needs to desire the good of the other, because that person is recognized as worthy of being loved. Each considers the good of the other as his or her own good, because love is true when it creates and builds the good of the other. If it's not building the good of the other, whatever you do, including sex, that's disrespectful. So it calls forth the best from all of us to do what we do without being demeaning, domineering. And this is very important. Your sexual behavior toward your wife, your husband, must be guided by your wife's, your husband's needs, must be guided by the capacities for growth for your wife as a person, for your husband as a person. That one, you note it. You note that one, that my behavior toward my wife must always be guided, will always be guided by my wife's needs. My wife's needs, my husband's needs. Number 4, values that we have to look at when we are indulging in sex is what? Honesty and sincerity. Honesty and sincerity. What one feels for the other must be expressed as openly and truthfully as possible. No feeling is expressed that's not sincerely felt. All what one feels about the relationship is expressed because it's important for the other to know. It's important for your spouse to know. There are some people who pretend when you are with your wife, wow, go singer, ulira. Then when you go for counseling, you say, I've never enjoyed it. Then your wife says, I've never heard that you are saying. I've never heard it. It means you are dishonest. You have to be free. Because if you don't share with your husband, with your wife, about your sexual life, with whom shall you share? So that is very important. Honesty and sincerity. The married couples form the intimate partnership of life and love established by the Creator and governed by His laws. This faithfulness and fidelity responds to the fact that when we give ourselves to the other, when we have made our vows, you make yourself a total gift to the other. So if you are not faithful, if there is infidelity in your relationship, then you are not a total gift, and therefore sex will not make sense. So by its very nature, love requires that inviolable fidelity of the spouses. You can't violate that. Once you violate faithfulness, then even the sex act will not be meaningful. So insofar as it entails sincere self-giving, growth in love is helped by the discipline of the feelings, passions, emotions, which leads us to self-mastery. As married people, if you want our sex life to be okay, we need that self-mastery, because you cannot give what one does not possess. If the person is not master of self through the virtues, and especially through chastity, that person lacks the self-possession which makes self-giving possible, because you can't give what you don't have. So if you are giving around, throwing yourself around to every girl on the village, and then you come back to your wife, you have nothing to give because you don't possess it, you have given it away. Love must be total. That's why faithfulness is important. So what is chastity? Chastity is the spiritual power which frees love from selfishness and from aggression. It helps us to avoid being violent. To the degree that a person weakens chastity, their love becomes more and more selfish. That is only satisfying a desire for pleasure and no longer self-giving, which is important in love. So fidelity is important because it expresses steadiness in keeping your given word. That word you gave on your wedding day, that I will be with you forever, you alone, till death do us part. I will be faithful. When you keep that word, that's fidelity, and that's its importance. Faithfulness is very important, not just in sex, but even in your normal life, because it shows that you are truly a great personality. The other value that we should look at is social responsibility. Before you indulge in sex, you should always put in mind this value of social responsibility, because love is personal, but sex is social. As the right to property is personal, but the use is social. So your sexual relationship should always respect your relationship and responsibility. The larger community of family, nation, your village, always ensure that the best interest of the larger community is kept in mind in the way you do your things. Because if you make a noise when your neighbor's children are still hearing, what are you after? Make sure your children don't know what you are doing, because is it proper? Social responsibility. You see they are not going away, but you want to enjoy each other. I told you, pour rice very far, 4 kilograms, ask them to go and pick until the last drop, don't come back. Make sure children don't hear you. Mommy, why were you crying? Social responsibility. The second last value is service to life. Sex is supposed to be a means for giving expression to life-serving quality. Sexual pleasure is morally disordered when sought for itself, isolated from its procreative and unitive purposes. There must be a connection to life. That's why the church says no to artificial family planning methods, like what? Condom, withdraw. Because when you withdraw, you are killing that seed. What are the other artificial family planning methods? Injector plan, pills, those things are against this one, the life-serving value. That's why the church says no. So make sure whatever you do, that value is there. Then the last one is what? Joy. At every time you indulge in this thing, you must be as happy. Because when you do it appropriately, it gives rise to joy and appreciation. So those 7 values, can we remind each other? Number 1 was personal love and freedom, respect for the other as a person, honesty, come again, faithfulness and fidelity, social responsibility, service to life, and joy. Those ones, wherever you are going to indulge, make sure they are in your mind. As human beings, it's difficult to fulfill all of them. But our concern is that if you substantially violate any of those, it brings problems to your sexual life, and therefore you will not have that romantic thrill. For example, if you cheat your wife repeatedly, it will affect, not even repeatedly. What have I said? I have not said it. Don't even be happy. You men, why are you happy? If you ever cheat on your wife, it will affect your sex life. So as you clap for me, I want to welcome Brian. Brian, you are most welcome. Brian is, as you stand up, is an expert in these things we are talking about. He's a sex therapist. He's a sex titles expert. Some people have been asking, how do I get twins? He's going to tell you the style. How do I get a boy? That's not true. So other titles, Brian will tell us himself. Brian, you are most welcome.
Thank you, my brother Raymond. I am glad and enthused to be here. I'm happy. I don't use these things in my sessions because I like flowing naturally. Sex being a spiritual thing, most of the things come as natural. And because I share from experience, I don't need to be reading somewhere. And I love it being interactive. I'm actually happy that every time they talk about sex, I feel exuberant. I feel some joy when sex is talked about because that's my being. And I am not ashamed to openly say it, because one thing that kills us as Christians is actually lying that we don't talk about sex. And I figured out that after I started doing sex, I hail from a born-again church environment, past. But when I started talking about sex, because I became a sex therapist 10 years ago, and at that time I was not married. So a certain church felt that how can a not married man talk about sex? Because me, I had an experience that was beautiful in my growing up. I had struggles, so I went into this as a remedy to my problems. And then I found passion. I started reading and stuff like that. Then I got certification about a sex therapy. So for me, it was a beautiful thing. So when this church felt like, a non-married man cannot speak of marriage. I remember Paul teaching about marriage, and many scriptures says Paul was not married, but I remembered again, Paul, the only way Paul was a Sanhedrin, and the only way you could be one, you must have been married. So I think after the conversion, he left the marriage thing. So, but I'm happy every time I'm in church to talk about sex. Me, when I talk about sex, I call it freedom. There was a point at what place where I talked about sex is freedom. For me, if I cannot freely talk about it, then why are we talking about it? Why? If I cannot say how it's supposed to be, then why are we talking about it in the first place? Because now churches have more sexual problems than the people out there in the world. You know why? They embrace things openly without jokes. And in my decade of experience as a sex therapist, when the people outside church come to meet you, they come with they're direct about their problems. They know, hi, Brian, I am dry. I think I need help. My coochie is really dry. And the guy comes and says, you know, one man, I can't go anything. And it's simple, but church people call you and say, hey, brother, how are you? You know those things, Hey, things are not going well, but you see, I'm a Christian, I cannot use herbs. So do you have any? I was like, are you all right? So church, we should take away the pretense. Thank you. Today is a beautiful place because when I read the topic of, enhancing romance and beauty in a marriage and in everything, I come from a place where the Bible became my biggest solace. There's a time I only read the Bible without reading any book. And I found so many scriptures that actually guarantee and permit my speech about sex. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 6:16, because I didn't go so much into school, I used the Message version. The Message version simplifies things for me. It says, there is more to sex than just mere skin on skin. Sex is a spiritual fact more than a physical fact. Yeah, that's the Bible. And because it's a spiritual fact, and that's why Jesus says in Matthew 5:28, in Matthew 5:28, he says that if any man looks at any woman lustfully, he's already committed adultery. What does that mean? That you as a man seeking and your wife sexually, there's a lot more things that God gave you. First of all, your diction as a man is a turn on, is a crazy thing for most women. And then when we're talking about intimacy, rejuvenating intimacy, most men, all you need to do at home is speak. Speak. Because even when you're doing your sex, some men be quiet. But then God gave us a voice. Speak, and it will happen. And then you see most men, struggle to understand these things. Referring to a question my brother Raymond had asked, how do I ensure my woman gets there every time we engage? You see, most men have been told to quantify things in their knowledge. Men want quantity. If she has a bigger bum, they believe that's good. If he thinks there's a, sorry, what? Bum is okay, right? Huge monster, he thinks that's what works. No, that doesn't. The scripture pattern of this thing believes that Moses was told, Moses, go speak to the rock and the water will come. But because Moses is physical and carnal, he went and hit the rock. Most men want to use energy to dismantle things. Sometimes it's just basically sweetness and calm and poise. And before you know it, something is giving you more than it gave you. There's this couple I was doing some premarital counseling for some couple. And for them, in that church where I was doing it, they were already staying together. So they're trying to make them get married. And then this woman asked the question and said, I don't understand that when my husband chokes me, rapes me, forces me, I feel good about that sex. And I'm like, okay, that's your pattern. Don't enforce your pattern on another person. The Bible says it doesn't call sex. It calls when Abraham knew Sarah. That means as a man who is scriptural, a man who is in church, the only way you can relate to sex with your woman, you must know her. So if you don't make your woman come or sexually satisfied, you don't know her yet. Huh?
Yes.
The pattern should be studied. I remember one time when we started the intimacy talk with churches and men, people, we acquainted ourselves. I told men, in the other world, there's something we call, the word vagina is okay to say, right? Yes. In my sexual kung fu classes, we call it vaginal whispering. You whisper to the vagina, don't attack it. Huh? Yes. So if you want to become a superstar, because intimacy is creativity. Intimacy is basically craft. Because as a man, most men actually believe that sleeping around with multiple people makes you good at sex. It actually doesn't, because every person is different. Women are like cars, or people are like cars. If you've been driving a Vitesse for 10 years, when you get into a Mercedes-Benz, you need a few seconds to figure out where the lights are, where everything changes. So every woman is special. So how you are performing with Patricia, Tendo, Teo, please don't bring it to Diana here. Huh? The understanding must be, you as a man of God is understand what you carry. In that vaginal whispering class, what we believed is, this girl, God made her, the flower, as in church. The flower, God made it that it responds to everything around it with utmost, okay, calmness, thank you. Like it responds. Let me tell you, even if you just whisper and blow a alua, next to it, to start responding, it's like, what? Something is coming. When you just sit there and start breathing, like a deep sigh, she starts receiving. Because what men should understand, mainly in sexual patterns, women do not respond to what you do, but how you make them feel. Not what you do. That's why a guy comes to, Brian, man, this girl, I can be on her for 3 hours, but I never see her do something. I'm like, brother, it's not about 3 hours. In the 3 hours, you must be hitting the wrong target. The wrong target. Because if I give you my phone, brother, and say, put the password, just put you feed it with the password. But if I say, hey, my password is 2361, what does that mean? You won't waste time. So if you ask the carrier of the phone, hey, baby, what makes you happy? How do you want me to run? And don't ask like a child, Nepios. Ask like a mature person, because when you ask as a child, Ngwatewa. You feel, it doesn't feel, because women are funny. That is a turn off when you ask a woman what to do without suggesting. It feels like as if you're a child. The one woman said, the man was on me, like a thing had fallen, and the guy kept on, and I slapped him, because there was a couple, they had come to see me, and this man had stopped having sex with the wife because of that slap. And I asked, what happened exactly? And man, I wanted to continue. The thing had fallen. Man, I was so disgusted. The guy is rolling. The thing has fallen, so I slapped him. We have to go through therapy for the man to actually really, really get to understand sex, because men, we're very emotional as well. The only pattern women don't get about men is when a woman wants, she wants. But the days we also want and you don't want. For us, it's okay to want and you don't want. But for you, if you want and I don't want, there's a problem. You get? It's wrong. It's wrong. Me, if I want, there's a problem. But you, every time you want, I must want. Have you realized men who are married? The days you really just want, okay, let me tell you, at every stage, every married person, there is going to be a time where there will not be romance. I told most women. As men, women who are here, no, there are days you feel like the thing is up there, you just want to enter, holy zone. You see, and you want it to be firm. But then someone wants to romance 30 minutes. The thing is weakening, 30 minutes. So I am here to appeal to most men. Understand that how do you set the pace? Because most men believe sex is when you start. No, sex doesn't start on the bed. It starts from other things. I told one gentleman who said, me, my temperament, we don't, how can I give you money and I make you romance? Hey, how can I give you money and I make you come? If I come, why don't you come? I had a couple, and this guy openly said, Brian, we should be serious. Me, I have come. You, why aren't you coming? Yeah. I can't be there stressing with money and then stress with romance. And this man was very, we call it, the girl called it, the girl said, Brian, this man cheats with impunity. And I was like, what do you mean? He can't do anything. And you find us like, hey, it's up to you. Other girls come, why aren't you coming? But if you're in church, you're supposed to actually be careful about the words you produce. This man was telling his wife in my office that if other girls come, why aren't you coming? And the girl said, this guy cheats with impunity. If other girls come, if other girls make me wait, you why? I find these girls when they're very wet, I have to touch you 30 minutes. Who has that problem? Who has that time? And in my husband looked at the guys like, this marriage is troublesome. But what am I trying to say? We must be careful. Okay, I'm a Rotarian and we have codes. 4 ways test. And we believe that for whatever I'm going to do, one, is it the truth? Huh? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill between us? So if it's not fair to act to whoever concerned, marriage is dying. For every married person here, I want to tell you there are challenges in marriage. There are very many of them. But if you're going to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks without sex, your oneness has died. The Bible says the two become one once they have sex. And I love Proverbs, I think Proverbs 5:19. The Bible says, I remember this because one woman came and told me, Brian, this guy, ever since I gave birth, he can finish the baby's milk. And then we struggle. Every time I'm breastfeeding my baby, the guy goes like, come now, come on. And the guy brought the scripture, says, the Bible says, let her breast satisfy you. Let her breast satisfy you. That's Proverbs, I think 5:19. But the basic pattern here is, because it's scripture that let her breast satisfy you, it doesn't mean you suck the baby's milk out. But what they are trying to say indirectly is, she is your wife. Let her body be your fathom. Let it be your joy every time you see her. For him, he translated directly. He went to breastfeed. He would actually wake up in the night and finish the baby's milk. But okay, it was funny, but this guy said, Brian, there's nothing I enjoy on my wife like a breast. Which is okay in the pattern of our romance, we believe so. But what we're trying to bring up in the pattern is, if you're trying to build a relationship pattern that is beautiful, you should build a code, something that you look forward to every time you see it. Because every one of us, we are naturally gifted. I'm a short man. There's a woman out here who says, me, I cannot date a short man. But my wife is happy with my shortness, because there are places where I'm told maybe, but that's a joke. It's a joke. But anyway, what am I trying to say? When you finally make a choice to marry someone, let everything work. Everything must be fixed. The one thing I believe, that everything sexual has a solution. So if you're a married person and there's no sex going on, that marriage is going to struggle. So why we as a sex therapist, I believe so much, okay, I usually wear my t-shirts that have words that are very heavy, but one of the t-shirts has a word that says, okay, let me use the word, flower creates bonds. In the other language, we call it P, creates bonds. So every time you engage sexually with a woman, there's a bond being created. And as a woman, every time I pour into you, I'm pouring my DNA into you. But now the health first fact about sexuality is you as a spiritual woman, embrace it as if you're building something. Don't just do for her. Don't just put your thing there and don't enjoy it. Because I tell women, stop thinking you're doing me a favor by giving me some. Some women believe as if there's a way some women feel like, I want to give you some. You're not giving me some, you're also enjoying, my dear. We are in it together. So most of us here in church, we come here and praise holy hands, but you go home and the man who's supposed to be your Lord is not doesn't feel being the Lord to you. Because the Bible says that Sarah embraced Abraham as my Lord. So if you can create those names, my Lord, what are we eating today? I remember when I just met my wife, she had cooked a meal and a prayer was a turn on. Let me tell you what she was praying before we ate. Like, dear Lord, I think she had gone for a female conference somewhere. Said, dear Lord, as the king eats, I pray that my Lord gets satisfied. Man, that thing felt like romance to me. My bands, because all men want to be revered. But marriage, there's a way women bless the Lord in Jesus' name. There's a way how we believe things. If you are going to pray to Jesus, but the man inside of you is not happy or respected, you won't get it. Because for us men, we are very physical in every form. I remember one time we did a topic on some group of ladies. Why do men sleep with maids? We did a topic there. Why do men sleep with maids? And I also carried that topic in my other crib. It's called the male crib. It's men alone. And I had stories there. And say, one gentleman, say, the top respected man, say, Brian, having sex with my wife became as if a job. The woman can sniff you. Did you shower? Have you showered? So every time I'm climbing, by the all men, we have some kind of issue of shower. Sometimes you don't want to shower. Sometimes you just want to be there and fall in the bed. But then this gentleman said, Brian, this woman makes me feel like I'm a child. Please be a wife, not my mother. Sometimes this guy said she can be seated on a chair and she has put on a thing, a lasso. Did you shower? She's trying to clean. Did you shower? You don't shower, you don't enter bed. So every time the guy is coming to bed, he feels like he's entering a war zone. Please, there's no romance there. So when the story ended, after the interview of you, did you shower? Because he had watched soccer. So it started raining while he was watching soccer. Soccer finished around midnight. So he was creeping into bed. Meanwhile, Madam had said, you didn't shower. Did you brush? The gentleman confessed and said, man, that day, you see the TV room, you get out of the TV, the maid's room is there as if you're getting downstairs to go. So as I was stepping down, a devil walked up. But the day I tried my maid's thing, I swear, the thing was different. Because my wife, she's full of perfumes, their things smelled natural. Now, let me tell you something funny about this thing. What you call modernized lately is actually not modernized. Women with this whole thing of modernity, it has killed who you are naturally. Science, is science allowed in church?
Yeah, science, yes.
The science of the vagina is funny, that whatever you cannot eat, don't put it there. Now, Madame had washed with lawash, washes with everything. Gentleman said, Madame, think this is not like the other woman. This thing has a natural aphrodisiac. The kawawa of cookie is a natural aphrodisiac to most men. The kawawa here. So the guy simply said, the other smelled original. Hey, let me tell you something funny about us men. Women, you don't know. As a sex therapist, I've experienced 3 things men don't forget about you when they have sex with you. How you smell, how loose you are, and how dry you are. Man, there's a guy who said, man, I felt I was a big giant, but when I entered the other girl, I felt like I'm not. Like, how loose you are, how tight I'll smell. Because when I have sex with you, when I go to pee after an hour, I'll smell exactly how you smelled. Let me tell you a secret, women. Most men, after they smell subconsciously. So this guy said, madam doesn't smell. It's like eating jackfruit that doesn't smell like jackfruit. You know what that means? Let the let the thing smell like tea. So what am I trying to get at? When this group of men were saying, we're doing the topic, why men sleep with their housemates? Some things women do in houses that make us feel like we're not men in that house. Romance dies when you don't respect your husband. And simple things actually show disrespect. Very simple. Let me tell you, every time you pick up your husband, never don't tell him, I'm tired of picking your socks. You speak. One scripture I remember that when we're doing stuff, we believe that every man, if you're not ready to babysit a man, don't marry. Because there's a guy, an old lady said, I am married to my husband for 53 years. But there are things he does. I'm like, he hit this man. But the time I learned to zip up my mouth, that's when everything became better. I just go to learn that. Take the socks through it. But every time you talk about it, you make me feel like I'm a child. Unless there's something that is becoming a weird. There's a story I did some years ago. This gentleman never flushed toilets. And for him, he never flushed toilets. He will go use the toilet and come out. So the lady said, the first time, I thought you forgot. I flushed. It became a habit. Then I asked the brother's wife, jokingly, man, I don't know, but it's the same here. And the girl said, please don't bother, because I talked to my mother-in-law when I just came into marriage. They said even their father does that. That's what the old lady, don't bother, my friend. If you're tired of marriage, go. But that's their problem. So this woman said, but I couldn't deal with that shit. How am I going to raise my kids who don't flush toilets? So some of these behavioral aspects can also dent relationships. Some men also can be too dirty. There's a guy who never shaved at all because he was told, because if you have a smaller thing, if you don't shave, it is confused in the bush around. So it's not physical as if it's small. So the member never shaved, but every time they will have sexual intercourse, you see that place gets cut. It cuts her. She was insensitive. So what am I trying to bring it? If you want to be romantic, romance begins from how clean you are. Because like I said, one of the things I learned, I will say something, it's not churchy, but I'll say it. I grew up from a ghetto world, and I started having sex as an early, and I got to know most of these things. Maybe God was preparing me for a job to fix marriages. But this is what I learned. I was broke. I didn't have money, but I learned one art women want. Smell good, look good, be neat. And after you smell good, look good, need know a craft, know how to deal with things. So what is a craft? Me, I figured out that every woman, because they are emotional, how do you get into their emotions? Women have two vaginas. They have one here and one here. Once you win the one upstairs, master, this is zero. That's why everyone can tell you, this guy, I just look at the guy and get wet. The guy hugs me and I'm wet. My husband can touch me for 3 hours and I feel like stones are entering me. I don't feel anything. But is this guy at office? Man, the guy is clean. Sometimes he passes me and I pass out. He lives in a wet environment simply because the guy won the thing upstairs. So when you are dealing with a woman, win the one upstairs first. What does that mean? There are days you are going to reach her and everything is given up. But if you're going to engage this one alone, you'll actually never fuck. Engage this one up. What does that mean? Even speak something, say something. Even though it's just rumbling, nothing, just say it. Just say it. Because this one time I remember, I was a sly guy in my early ages. And this old woman, I was dating older women. And this one woman said, young man, whoever taught you this craft is dangerous. Because when you're engaging her, speak, whatever you speak, it's like sweet music. There's a gentleman who came to me and said, Brian, when you are, what you told me, I do this. When a woman tells you, touch here, today, tomorrow don't touch. The funny thing about when it changes, this guy said, Me, I told her I like someone to eat down. The guy can eat my thing until it becomes red. So what does that mean? Be creative. If she says, touch it this way, the other day, change the direction, the other day, slap it. Keep creating. Creativity is what we talk about here in sexuality. So me, in my humble request to every person here, creativity is what actually works, not busy. Don't be busy. There's a guy who said, this woman said, Brian, the guy can change you in the bed for over 10 times, but all of those, it's just useless. You're about to get you something, such flip. You're about to get you something, flip. Put your leg up here. So I leave the bed with my everywhere, it's hurting, and I'm not even, it's like a gymnastic place. So don't make it a war. Like there was a bullet here that talked about, it's not a war. This is your, actually, it is believed this is your woman. Embrace her. I remember there's a group of women I was, and they said there are some men who do chifiriza, they dance chifiriza just to spoil things here. What am I trying to say? In every society pattern we have to do, the science of this whole thing believes your body is not a natural thing. You've got to do something. Now we eat very bad. Let me go to the science of the body. There are things you will never do if you don't do the right thing with the body. It's like a car. Your car needs fuel. Your car needs service. But a lot of men call me and say, man, I don't know what's wrong. I used to go rounds, but now I come in her thighs. Before I enter, I have come. There's a gentleman who actually cried before me, said, man, sometimes I'm trying to just wear a condom and I come in the middle. What does that mean? Because there's things that have spoiled you. Many people in church marry late. Many people in church marry late, and some of them that are not sexually active, they start masturbating. So masturbation damages your penile muscle. When it damages your P muscle, it's weak. You can't even hold sperm. You will come here immediately, you enter, you've come because of excitement. So we do things that help you as a man. Let me tell you, I had a session with a lot of people, but I've discovered our biggest concern, Mr. Raymond, should be with the men. You know why? It's easy if a woman finds a man who knows what to do, everything works. Most women are like cars. The driver must know what to drive. I've had experience where a woman says, me, I have never been wet. Never. Because my husband slaps saliva there, pew, we enter. There's no time for romance, just saliva, smear, and he enters. I have never been wet. And we're like, okay, let us learn how to engage these things. We were just talking. And she said, Brian, I feel that I am wet. Because I was taking her into a direction of conversation. So what does that mean? Acquaint yourself with taking care of yourself as a woman. There's a girl I met. She had come for a waxing. Those days, my spa was full. I used to do waxing and taking care of the vagina in Baden. This woman came with a very smelly thing. It's bumped, looked ugly. And then she asked me, man, I don't know, my husband doesn't like going down on me. While she was there seated, removing her thing to start working, I felt a super status like, baby girl, what's that? I simply asked her, my sister, can you eat this thing? And you? Man, it looked very ugly. So if you cannot eat it, whose son do you want to go there and eat? Man, it looked very ugly. Please take care of your thing. They could, with these things, Jesus. Let me tell you, you can actually keep saying that all the things are the same. No, they're not the same. They're those that are well kept. I see vaginas every day because it's my work. But there are those you look at and like, you come. What is this one? What am I trying to say? Engage yourself, take care of yourself. Sometimes romance is killed by how you take care of yourself. I had a question before I came. One person sent me a question here. Let me first read it because they sent it to my WhatsApp here. Let me read it. It's a person. Some people, I think they know us coming. This one was saying, Musaja, these women don't move at all. But girls out there have moves. I find myself doing more rounds than one at home. First of all, her body is stiff. Second, there's something about her vagina that is not normal. Please help. The gentleman is simply saying, Musaja, these women don't move at all. What does that mean? Someone just puts there the thing and enter. But the thing is, romance is supposed to be a craft. There are things you simply do that make someone go on and on and on. Sex is an energy. And because it's an energy, you must consume yourself with the person you're dealing with. Sometimes if you just put it there, the eater will not feel the same way. Meanwhile, because this man is talking from a place that I know, I deal with a lot of women. There are women who are there. All they're looking for is money from you. They don't want the love. And these girls believe money is a super lubricant. Yeah. So she will do everything she is because she wants your money, not your love. Meanwhile, the woman at home requests you to love on her a little more. For you, the girls who have products that make you very wet immediately. You come wet. Now you who is natural, Bambi, you're stressed at office, boss is asking for this report. You leave office very tired. You see, I got a chance that I also experienced this thing. My wife is a banker, and she comes on, she's very tired. You look at her and you're like, where do I start from? Madam, sleep. Because you see, she's very frustrated. She has babies. Now, most men actually have a very unnatural code. You look at a woman has 2 babies. She has a job. Let me tell you, fatherhood made me understand what these women go through. I was a very present father. Very present. I wake up at night and see her body being tired breastfeeding. You know, if you see a person breastfeeding for the first time, you see how struggling they are. Sometimes you see a muscle stiff because she's trying to breastfeed. Now, for you, you want things to be automatic. No, it can't be. A woman's body was giving you 3 children. Romance tells you, is it fair? She gave her body changed because of you, giving babies for you. What am I trying to say? As a man, it's your job to actually work a routine that makes you comfortable in your space with your woman. Because her body changed when she was giving birth. But also women, as I'm defending you, there are women who become too much, everything died and they gave up on themselves. You're at home, you wear Adidas. You know Adidas? You're at home, wear Adidas and the baby's diaper on top. And the man comes, man, I come from office with my suit. I look at girls, girls work with themselves. But after office, all the cute girls I was looking at, I come home and my wife is with Adidas, some breasts are swinging here. The appetite dies. I have my auntie, she's a very old woman. She said, she believed and said, every time I am home and I know my husband is coming, I work on myself as if I'm going for a date. Every time. You see, you can't, she's old, very old woman. She has a lipstick on us like, sweetheart, I have to look stunning every day, every time. But some women also become weird. Your breast milk is flowing, some part is marked with breast, and you don't look good. I know breast babies coming, but there are things that are there, breast pads and all that, create an environment that makes me look at you sexy. So sexiness to me is not what you look, it's a state of mind. Sexiness is so as you wake up in the morning, this member here, like I told you, every sexual problem can change if you are focused. If you feel like you're not good, massage it, I have an oil called cannabis oil, hemp oil. If you get hemp oil, massage your pussy regular, it will stay young. You know, as it grows, it starts looking at you in a crooked way, a gold reggae. Start looking at you as if it's one eye is closed because you're not attending to it. So massage it, creates time. If you're friendly, there's a guy I told, do you always take time to massage? I was like, massage what? The only thing that goes there is my member. So create a bond that makes you free to actually open up and shave each other. Open up and shave each other. Most men are not comfortable though, but what am I trying to bring? Create a friendship pattern. Me, I have a Chi language at home. We have a Chibozi. Like there's a creative speech for sexuality. But the guy who used to cough and say, and the woman said, every time I hear, the guy goes, it means follow. And he goes, follow. Sometimes he goes, you don't come, you see a beep. He goes off. Just know you're ready. Man, what am I trying to create? Sexuality and romance dies everywhere there is no creativity in this whole thing. So it starts from a simple pattern. As a man, when you grow older, men age starts at 30. From 30, a man has grown. Because your erection at 25 was up here. As it grows, it starts going a pattern. After 40, it starts swinging down here. You feel you have an erection, but it's swinging down here. This member, you can work on her. There's something we call, in our sexual kung fu patterns, we believe that the only way a man to stay relevant in your home is when you're sexually active. If you're not sexually active, your relevance in a home dies. Because women love sex more than we do. A woman can leave you. A woman can stay when you're broke. She can stay when you beat her. But mostly when your member dies, when this member dies, she feels like, I'm in a wrong place, no business. There's a gentleman who called me, the guy was 60. I said, Brian, this woman has damaged my ego. From 50, I have never had a serious erection. But from that time, I've given her a life. They live in the UK. I've given this man, a woman, everything she wanted. But the day my sex died, I became useless to her. What does that mean? While we think we need sex, women love sex more than we do. So engage her sexually, and you engaging her sexually means you've got to do it good. Do it good, because as we grow, they are curved. Sexually, when a woman grows, they want sex. And when men grow older, their performance lowers down. That's why they trickle down to the younger girls who do not need satisfaction from them. They want the money. So when you find a girl who does not need satisfaction, she'll make you feel like you're a star. Kumbe, she's enjoying. Some girls go like, Brian, there's nothing as sweet as eating a guy's money and he comes in 1 minute. It feels good. That's how girls are very selfish. But here in church, we believe you are supposed to be directed to your only pattern. So as a man, 3 things you must do to keep your sexual patterns well. Reduce your alcohol intake. I believe we are in church, we don't drink, right? We drink a little. Limit your alcohol intake. Every sugar, actually, and as a church guy, however busy you are, throw away every energy drink. I see young people taking energy drinks. I'm not doing decampaigning. Energy drinks have a lot more sugar in them. The more sugar you take in, it's effective. Every time you see a man getting a bottle of sugar, maybe soda, like baby, the baby, they think is going. Every time you see him taking a beer, every extra beer, something goes wrong. You know why? This member here depends on blood circulation. Because it depends on blood circulation, the cholesterol, the heavy blood, it limits the flow here. That means you're going to have issues. Start from that simple lifestyle. Eat everything you can eat, but make sure you eat a very good breakfast. I see people who are in office, very tired. You rush at 4 a.m., you're out. You don't eat breakfast. Breakfast is an important meal for every man. You go and take tea and chai at office. That's wrong. You're breaking your manhood. Because 90% of every time you engage in a woman sexually, you lose minerals, your body does not function. You must intake them. For a woman, it's okay, she can actually apply an oil and you enter and things are going. But to you, who is entering, you must have blood flow to keep it entering. Then massage your member. This guy, massage him on a regular. In the other language, you call it jelking. Jelking makes your dick stronger. And then, you see, our prostate as men, as we grow older, the prostate is a place between our balls and our anus. That place is a prostate area. Massage it on a regular. If you're good with your madam, throw it there. Let her give her a massage. Because this thing can enlarge. And as it enlarges, your urethra begins to thin a bit. Its thinning means trouble, urinal flow, and uncoordinated. You go pee, finish, and wear your pants. As you somewhere walking, it comes out again because of these health hazards. Start jelking. I have a jelking thing I have in here. Most men need to know that every time you massage a member, you increase blood flow to the guy. His girth changes, his strength changes. Everything sexual can change. That's one thing I believe. And as you do that, take a lot more stuff that help you increase blood flow, but regulate their intake. Don't be so accustomed to that. So for you, every time you come into a woman, you're losing stuff, 4 grams of zinc, selenium, and copper, and your body doesn't function them. And because it does not function them, you must intake from the opposite side. That's why God created seeds for us to eat. For every seed you find as a man, eat flax seeds, walnuts, almonds, cashew nuts, nuts, yeah? Pumpkin seeds. The only problem I have, the miseducation here is people roast them. When you roast, you've lost. You're doing for what we call, in nutrition, we have what we call pranic foods. Yeah? Zero prana is something that you eat and don't benefit anything. You're eating for sweetness. The negative prana is something that you eat but takes away from you. Positive is what you eat and adds to you. So when you eat the roasted version of nuts, you're eating for sweetness. This equals marriage is going to last longer. When a woman serves the husband, things change. When a woman serves, things change. So what am I trying to say? Every time you eat the seeds that are roasted, you're killing their nutritional value. So eat it when it's raw. That way you're benefiting. Meanwhile, women are very responsible to your husband's feeding. A banana, bananas are very good. They have bromelain and L-arginine. That's very good for your sexual pattern. Because it looks like a member, eat. It looks like the member, eat. Because for you, every time you come into her, you're losing what your body doesn't function. What does that mean? You're going to have issues. There's another, every root you find, try eating. Coffee root, eat. Murondo, eat. Prunas, eat. What does that mean? The modern man has killed himself intentionally because after you're getting tired, you pass by KFC, buy, eat. That's wrong food. You pass by Java's, eat. Wrong food. And don't eat heavy food at night. The more food you eat at night, you're just going to be building. There's no activity. At night, we take tea or lighter porridges just to increase energy. Because every time you don't eat the right way, your member is going down. And as a woman, your hormones change every day. Hormonal imbalance is at play every time. Now, how do we deal with these hormonal changes? Because your hormones can actually deter you. You want the man you really love. Because the hormones are flaring, you can't even get wet. Now you have family planning coming in. It changes how your body responds. That means you go to intake. Take Nandi Flame in Luganda is Shavakazi. Rose pear. I have a product called Ebony for women. It helps you really get your hormones balanced. So what does that mean? When you're trying to sexually improve your intimacy, you've got to work on the gadgets. It's like washing the car, but inside the engine is dead. The car is clean, but the engine is dead. So what am I trying? You do your romance, the vibe. Women inbox and say, Brian, I love this man totally. I feel he's the man I love. But every time he comes home, the desert zone. Not because you don't love the person. And for us men, when you don't get wet, we believe you don't want him. It means you've got to do something. As you're busy on your desk, mix your tin of Ebony. I think let me show you some product because it's going to be help. Oops. Did I disconnect something?
No.
Because it will help us really work on basic terms. So me, I believe that practicality is what we need. You're going to learn the lesson, learn how to be romantic, but you don't know where to get these things. Church should understand that God created. The Bible says in Genesis 1:29, I believe. It is believed that for every plant I've created for your food and your medicine. So when you're doing whatever you're doing, most men fear that someone is going to see me talking about my sexuality. Me, I remember one time when I had sex issues 10 years ago. I didn't care who saw me. Now I'd walk on the street chewing my mulondo because I know what it will do to me. I don't care. Now people in church fear. There's a gentleman who called me. He had not had sex for 2 years, I think. But because a friend of his gave him my number, man, Brian has like a thing that works. The guy called me, Brian, send me this and this. I was like, the guy I think knows them. But the guy just read from somewhere. The guy was 56. The gentleman he brought stuff, he saw them from, he's a 32-year-old man. So this member gets my stuff, starts taking. I told him in the prescription, just take a teaspoon of tea in the morning and the evening one. Because the member had not had sex for 2 years, stuff had been falling. The guy took, every after an hour, he was taking a cup of tea. So around 4 p.m., the other guy calls me. Asks me, man, what did you give this guy? I was like, what do you mean? The guy feels like he's pulsating. The guy's pressure is rising. I asked him, member, what's wrong? Man, you gave me things I didn't tell you. I'm diabetic. I have high blood pressure. I feel my heart is passing out. I'm like, tell me, what did you do? He was taking every after an hour. For him, he believed the more he takes, the better. That's wrong. Misinformation. Even on the kaboto, it's written teaspoon once a day. But for him, he believed the more he takes, the better. What does that mean? Acquaintance, and he was hiding them. Another guy bought stuff and he was hiding them in the car. It's basically said, keep under cool, dry place. Now the guy calls me later, man, I feel like my throat is itching. I have a product called Thriller. It's for men. You take it immediately, you're good to go. For him, he bought many, he hides them in the car. When he goes home, he takes. But that's the wrong way. You must live a sexy lifestyle. I don't care. My wife mixes my tea, you know. She asks, hey, you're taking your tea? Oh, like, yeah, my tea. It becomes a friendly zone. If you cannot take care of his sexuality, there's a problem. If you have to buy your product and hide it away from her, then there's a problem. There's no friendship. Those are men feel like, I want the ego. It's okay. Put them in office properly, where don't hide them in the car. But this is what I'm trying to say. Your sex is something you feed. You must feed your sexuality. There's a problem. We have a misconception about this whole sex game. Most people believe the more you do gym, the better you become. There's a direct opposite of it, because I have many bodybuilders come and say, man, I have to take a Viagra to match my body. My body size, that thing is not working. Because two things. God designed your body that every time you engage, you stress your body, either mentally or physically. The more stress you pour on your body, it lowers your testosterone production, because there's a stress hormone called cortisol. Once cortisol pours in your body, it regulates testosterone production. It lowers down. So these guys stress their body. They don't eat well. You can do exercise properly, but learn how to feed yourself as well. So basically, the thing is against the exercise, but also eat. Keep your body moving. The other thing every man can do, keep breathing. Do a breathing technique. Because if you cannot hold your breath, you can't hold your spoof. Oh, spoof is allowed. If you cannot hold your breath, you can't hold your calm. How do we manage? In sexual kung fu, we call it the sacral area. It works in two ways. When you do your breathing technique, hold it for like 5 seconds. Keep breathing. The more you breathe, when you breathe, you hold your kegel. Kegel exercise is something you hold as if you're peeing. When you go to pee, go against the kufka, baby. After you pee, don't touch. Pee and then hold. 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. Release and pee again. That kegel strengthens your pee muscle, and before you know it, you can be in I was going to say the word. You can be inside and you realize something is coming. Take a deep breath and hold, and then just flow. You become, the core is the pattern. Just master your core. So I was supposed to be showing you something. This is for women. It's called ebony. Ebony is a mixture of chifawakazi, rose pear, nandi flame, and celery. And then whatever you can find yourself. Now, the other thing you can also do, you see okra. Okra can help you make your pussy slimy, but if you take it every day, okra has a way of giving you body weight. If you take it on a regular basis. If you take it whenever, wherever, it can make you regulate. I mean, you have a pussy, something slimy flour. The slimy it is, the easier it flows. Now, you as a woman, two things you also need to acquaint yourself with. When you don't take care of this member, she does not know you anymore. Wake up in the morning, the way you apply your lip balm, some people are looking very hot. There's a meme that went around, but the way hot babes don't have good things down there. Because they care about their face, they look good, but the member down there is very, very stuffed and ugly. And then the pad burns, there's a lot of rashes around here. So you open your think for someone, it's all bumped or ashy because of the pad. Take care of it. Massage it on a regular basis. This is called the follow me. I make it out of cannabis. Cannabis is weed oil, yeah? Cannabis makes your vagina more responsive and sensitive. And it neutralizes the pH. So once in a while, lip balm, this becomes your pussy balm. The words becomes your flower balm. So when you take care of yourself on a regular basis, your body becomes subjective. Like you don't have to, like a car that has been serviced all the time. A car that has been serviced all the time. There's a question that came that I hadn't read properly. Size doesn't matter, but I don't feel my man. I just pretend. How do we go about it? Size doesn't matter. Another one has asked me, is pulling important? How do I know she has come? Now this is real, by the way. This is real. This is real. How do I know she has come? Size doesn't matter, but man, I don't feel my man. I just pretend. Now let me teach you as a man. Let me teach the man, because you asked. If the man is around, I don't know. Size does not matter at a certain stage, but how you use can matter, because there are certain things. The science of the girl downstairs works this way. She's sensitive 2 inches inside. Anything going down deeper is a waste of time. Though there are seasons during a calendar that she wants it deep inside just a few seconds. There are days she wants it to be there deep. But this is what I'm going to teach you. The science of the V or of the flower works this way. Spend a lot more time understanding. The V has things around there, carnations. There are these ones, there are these ones, and this one up. There's this one up. So if you concentrate properly and understand the standard of things, because women have a G spot that is very close, just a finger can make her come. So if this finger, if you do it well, can make a woman come. Maybe if your size is this size, I don't know which size your man has, but also maybe your vagina is also too loose. Maybe your vagina is also bigger, because we can be talking about the man's thing being small, but also yours could be big. So the narrative is learning how to manage, because I tell men the craziest sex people have is when you understand the zone outside. Understand the zone outside, because most women, actually 90% of women, do clitoral arousal. Clitoral is outside. Actually come more on clitoral sensation. So concentrate, brother, if you have a smaller muscle, concentrate on the man out, the girl outside. Business out here. But when you're doing the business out there, also have a pattern. Have rhythm. You know what rhythm is? There's a gentleman who said, there's a guy who said, Brian, this guy, he tried to do this kind of thing of voice, but he keeps changing, so it confuses. Have some rhythm. Like it's there, they have rhythm. Like if you have a name as long as mine, write your name, Semanda. Just have a pattern, because as you do your pattern, the rhythm is what actually works, not how you're doing it. The rhythm is what actually works. Just have a rhythm and have a consistency, because with women, it's about consistency. If you're doing and it's about today and you change, it's actually irritating. So have a consistent. And one thing you need to know, study your person before you even engage. I am a gifted person. I would look at somebody and I know what works for them, because I work with body language as a therapist, but everyone is special. So size doesn't matter if you have acquainted yourself with this person, because I've told women, why are you talking about size doesn't matter? Somebody comes with a finger. And there's a man who came to me and said, I have never met a woman come. But I have a very huge thing. Now, there also disadvantage with people that have very big things. They think the deeper you put it, the better. So they want to just destroy. No, that's not the thing. Just learn how to work with it. This guy said, me, I have never made anyone come, but I have a bigger thing. The other question is, the other question was, how do I know that she has come? If you have to ask that question, that means you need a big lesson. Because a woman that has come, there are three things. There are three gates of coming. There's the vaginal arousal, and 90% of our women get only the vaginal orgasm, because that's a short lived. They can feel like, oh, they can pinch you or do whatever. But then there's what we call the brain orgasm. It takes a little longer, but it's a transposition of this one. But that requires you to be a master at the game. You need to take time. What does that mean? Whisper to it as you enter. Stop and play. If you're creative like me, get a straw, soda, put it there. Blow a little bit, be playful. Acquaint yourself with it. Because me, I mastered. I told you, I had issues. There's this one day. I've told this story many times, by the way. This one day, I remember I'd given up because I had issues. I had struggled. I had a depression like 10 years ago. And my depression really led to many things, that I lost my old sexuality. I couldn't get an erection. But I was a hot guy around. Many girls were all over me. So I was like, hey, I mastered the art of other things before this. 90% of my sexuality had nothing to do with my dick, and everyone was happy. I mastered the art of eating, the art of finger. Everything was creativity, and everyone was happy until I worked on myself slowly, and the member also came, so that I also enjoyed. This is what I'm trying to say. One time the thing was very, very wet, and I had a Java's straw, the big one. Sit there slowly, and as I was blowing, sipping out, blowing, the woman I was exploding is like, what is that? So what I'm trying to say is creativity. Creativity. So because of us who had issues, we had to create. So you remember who says, how do I know she has come? Get one day, just get this one day, and just look at it, study. And as you study, acquaint yourself with a member down there. With patience, be patient. Forget about this member, because what I did, actually, I took almost a year without using my member. But everyone who I touched, They were happy because I mastered the art of fingers. Now, in a woman's foot, the roof of the vagina is where the magic is. If you put your finger when she's wet, not when she's dry, don't just put your fingers there. Even the way you use fingers matters. Don't just as if you're drilling something. No, no, no. Be soft. Be soft. Soft is the thing. When you put your finger in here and then lift it a bit. You see, have you seen it? Put it in and lift it. After you lift it, concentrate. Don't do anything else. Just concentrate there. If you hold it for just 1 minute, the member will start tickling a little bit because she feels it. Now, have the rhythm. A flow of come back, come back. Now, meanwhile, this one can also be tiring. Let me tell you, my fingers have mastered, they've done a lot, so they are exercised. You who is not exercised, you get tired. Now, if the fingers get tired, find a position where you are here, her face is this side. Remember who asked, how do I know she's come? Try with the fingers without the dick. You will know properly. She's here, you're here in the middle. You just see her, she's lying. If your fingers will get tired, now you're going to use the rhythm of your hand. Not hard. Just do outside. As you do that, come out. Be playful. Create an environment. And I will call it tantric. Tantric is a place where she's feeling it, and then you take it away. And then she comes. So create that fractionation pattern. Before you know it, you will know that she will come. Some will start shaking their legs because sex is creativity. While it's creativity, everyone knows. Actually, 90% of women don't know their bodies. They also discover with time. I have met women who are old, 45 years old, they're squatting for the first time under my lesson. I teach her squat easily. People sit there and I'm seated here and I'm teaching her to do. You see, your body also moves. When you want to enjoy sex pattern, the disadvantage with many singers, they teach you the wrong things. The old singers were teaching our girls to satisfy the men, not to satisfy yourself. So when a man is entering, you don't kiggle. Come on, meme. Every time you kiggle, you're depriving yourself of fun. Every time you kiggle him, you don't feel, actually you're entering here. Because you're entering here in there. Kiggle is wrong when you're doing it, your child. Let him be, but it's easy. Then after is just push him out a little bit. Relax and push, don't push harder. But just push a little bit. We call it tantric feeling. Just feel it. Enjoy, because you're not going anywhere. This is your husband. We are learning together. I remember the only way I learned sex is not multiple partners. I learned with this one person, and that became my wife. Who is my wife? We learned. We just create stuff and figure out stuff together. We can create a chivozi, and they'll be talking there, and finally someone is like, "Oh, I'm coming." Hey, I'm like, "Hey, I thought we were just talking," because it's a pattern. When she comes, my brother, you will know. Because now create a society when you're going to just learn her body. Her body can be anything. Not, by the way, the other thing I also learned, the girl downstairs doesn't want to be attacked. Suggest to her. As if you're coming to touch, don't touch. Then she starts feeding. When you bring the mister, touch a little bit, pull out a bit. Be playful, like create a playground person. Don't be too serious. This is not there's no certificate. Some people are too serious. There's a girl who told me, Brian, my husband can be too serious. The guy doesn't laugh. He opens his thing. He does his thing. And when he comes, he goes off, man, I don't like to see. Be playful. Even though you're a big CEO somewhere, when you get into your woman's bosom, the Bible says, there's a scripture I'm trying to remember. There's how, even though you are powerful as how, when you get into her bosom, be like a baby. Break down. That's simplicity. So as you massage yourself now, sensitivity works this way. When you create as a bond, that's why people out there, there's a guy who say, Brian, I have been in this job for too long. One woman, I have more women as my clients. I have 90% of my women are clients. My clients are women. So this woman client of mine brings her husband to me. Man, fix this guy, fix this member. So the member, I asked her a one-on-one with the man. My sister, step out. And the guy opened up and said, Brian, the problem is with your friend. I have a girl. I find myself doing 4 rounds. I don't know how. There's something in her vagina that's not normal. And I'm like, let me see, which girls? She just showed me a girl. God is watching me. This was one of my client girls. One of my client girls who has mastered the art of creativity says there's something about her. There's something about her thing. It's not normal. While you're there, it's all the same. No, it's not the same. While you're there, they're all cars. No, not all cars are the same. A Vitesse feels different and a Range Rover feels different. So this girl was a super Range Rover. What am I trying to say? She had taken care of herself. Now, as God made us as a straw, most men think we pour into women. No. Before we pour into her, you've been sipping out of her. This guy is like a tank. That's why you can say, have you heard that story? This thing is like a tank. It tests. So this guy, you see, this because this is cannabis. Cannabis, when you put it in your vagina, madam, put it down. When someone is entering you, before the whole process of him carrying, he's been sipping on the cannabis. So his member starts being harder because of the cannabis. Cannabis is in jargon. So the intensity is much more than a normal real chijanjalo. Are we together? So when you're trying to say, let's stay natural, I see someone say, let's stay natural, but you're wearing lipstick. Why do you wear lipstick? Why do you plait your hair? Huh? But you say, let's stay natural, but you're wearing lipstick. What does that mean? Not from such a sometimes. They're simple energies. Pussy is like chicken. This thing is like chicken. You can boil it and they will eat it. She will serve a chicken tikka. It's also chicken. There's KFC, there's Javas. You understand? So me, the eater, it's upon me to say, let me eat the boiled one. Now, marriage is the beautiful part where a man has two choices. To go back at home where they are quarreling or to go where they are happy. There's a way, because I'm a therapist, most second wives or second girlfriends always want to take the man. Most bitches out there, they want to take the man. So there are things they do. You as a woman in church, man comes because you're mad at him, you don't look at him. Never deny your husband sex because you're mad. So the man has a choice. They have denied me here. There's a girl who wants me. So he has two choices to make: to go with my enemy in a bed. See, marriage is a place where you sleep with your enemy. Marriage is a place where you sleep with your enemy. And marriage is a place where a man is being mad. Someone is mad at him for not knowing what he's wrong. The guys you're mad at, the guy doesn't know even why you're mad. But you're very sulking, you're gloomy. The guy doesn't even know why you are gloomy. Meanwhile, he has a choice to say, let me go to where they're mad or where they're welcoming me. And I work with women. Women are evil. There are women who simply come and say, Brian, women are, no, not to you. Not to you. Not to you. But a girl comes and says, Brian, this man is married. This man is married. I just want him for myself. Whatever it takes, I will do. Meanwhile, you who is married, who they are stealing a man from you. You're busy sulking and just praying and not talking to your husband. You're just sulking. But another girl is working towards getting him. What am I trying to say? Work on your environment. One of the things I was teaching many girls out there, there's this story that I shared. Cafe Javas does not complain at KFC stealing their customers. Cafe Javas creates a customer service base, creates an environment where you will sit and talk. Now KFC remained at a pick and take or more children there. You know what I mean? What does that mean? You who is in service, marriage is like a service delivery point. Customer service, some marriages have zero customer service. Marriage is like that. It's a customer service entity where you're not going to complain about what Cafe Javas is doing. Create an environment where it's going to be service delivery at scale. The client will choose, do I sit in Cafe Javas for my meeting and then order food, or I go to KFC where there are many kids running around and I won't have a meeting? What does that mean? You as a married person, even you as a man, while we're talking about this, there's also customer service. There's a woman who say, Brian, my husband, I can actually plait hair and he doesn't know I changed hair. I can plait hair and he doesn't even notice I changed hair. Brian, I cut my hair off for a whole month and my husband never noticed I cut hair off. Oh, these are real facts. I can, this guy doesn't know even what I wear. Doesn't know what I wear. I know my wife's size in every form. What is that? Be keen to detail. This woman says, Brian, a Buddha man told me, you're smart today. Your hair looks good. My husband, I've played this hair for 3 weeks. My husband has not seen it. Doesn't know. So this marriage becomes a semantic of creativity. Just create. You can just see. Every time you go home, just look at your wife keenly and notice a few changes. Nice hair, even when it's not nice. In marriage, we say things differently because now for her, she plated. The moment you say it's not nice, fire. So what are we trying to say here? After you say the wrong word, sex becomes a bad pattern. So in my office, I see drama. There are days I sit in my office and I'm like, you see, there's this one old couple that came. They were not so old. The lady was around 56 and the gentleman was 62. And for them, they came at a basis. I met them at a Rotary Club. We were teaching. And the guy said, I just need to know. I've been with Maya for so long, but I've never seen that water. They were open. I've never seen that water flow. But we love each other. We enjoy the sex. But this water, he even had a video. This water. It takes me to a question here that was saying, does everyone have water? No, the gentleman was 60 something, and the lady, they were old. They were fresh, and they looked like they know each other very well. And the gentleman said, "This water, and also my wife have it." I'm like, it's like asking me, I have a nose, but I cannot breathe. These are simple techniques. I told Madam, sit down, sit, just have a seat. Let's do something. Let's do an exercise. And the gentleman was also there. I was like, close your eyes, do what I'm teaching you. Just breathe yourself. Just close your eyes, and then, if every woman is there and tries to do this, you'll actually see a difference. You hold your pussy down, or your pumpkin down, your flower, hold it a bit, and then release a bit. You do it rhythmically for 5 minutes, and then release a bit. Keep holding, and then release a little bit. At 5, release harder, and then hold a little bit. And no one says, wait, hey, wait, never kid it. They were like, man. They were like, it was fun. It was fun to watch. But then I told her, when you go home, just acquaint yourself. You see, the difference is the amount will differ based on what your intake is. This thing, the ebony, doesn't give you a lot more. It doesn't give you water, but it increases the amount because that's stuff that makes you hot and win. So when I gave her the water, just drink enough water. There are girls who take 3 liters of water a day. But they know it's going down. 3 liters. And then she goes and makes her whole bed mess. It's possible. And then when the woman said, hey, I felt the urine. And I was like, it's not urine. Try, go. They're a happy couple now. Because of fear. You see, you would think you know everything. But as a 56-year-old woman come into an office of a young man like me, you are a couple that looked so happy. And this happened. It was such a fun thing to watch. What does that mean? Whatever you need in that vagina, so in that place, you can have it. The only difference is with us men, we give up quickly. This is a 56-year-old with a 60-year-old man who have come for a simple learning. And I told him, man, when you're going to do the other thing, sometimes it's not easy for her to squat when you're inside. It's not. That's why most people believe that people who do this kachabali bring water easily. No, it's the art. Because when you're deep inside, you're closing in the place where it's going to come from. But when you're out and it's flow, I told the man, the good thing about it, even when your thing is not erected, you can still stimulate that place. So the man went and did the same. What does that mean? There's no time to stop at it. When you're married, it's forever and ever. So while these women are there at learning every day, let me tell you, it's weird how unmarried women are learning these things and the married women are not doing. There's this thing, lies to many people. Once she gets it, most women actually, when they get it, they relax. Which are Semanda. And they forget about it. I'm Semanda. When they get a ring, most women actually give up on these things. And the girls who don't have the ring are doing every job. I talk to married men, and the men go like, Brian, our women, something is not right. I don't know, but something's not right. It's simply because most of them give up easily. So marriage is a consistency. For men, while you're doing it, remember, you're the fuel. Because you're the fuel, you see, this girl can close her eyes. You can put saliva. Do you think? But when this thing can't get up, even the saliva won't work. What does that mean? Every time you wake up in the morning, as you do your exercise, it's like taking a car for service. Even though it's very old, take it for service. Because as men, as we grow older, society has it different. Stress is increased. The more stress, this member goes down. You wake up in the morning, sexual. Hey, let me tell you, with that man, it's funny that you can tell a man you have a cancer and the man will be brush it off and let's go. But the day this guy refuses to come, that's the beginning of stress for most men. That's why they feel useless. So when you're doing it, never speak as a woman, never speak evil about your man's sexual weakness. Don't hit a man where it's sad. Even though it's the truth, never mention it. You can't be like, women say this because out of the quarrel. There's a place where I was in a meeting with these women, and just quietly, the woman said, and the guy froze. What am I trying to say? Never say nothing evil, nothing negative about your man's sexual pattern in a public space, in a quarrel. When you talk about it, but baby, I need to increase that size. One thing I'm sure about, size changes.
Yes.
Size changes. Medically, it's proven, but with time, the problem is, I watch TV. I don't put many adverts on TV, but I watch TV and I see people lying. It cannot change in 2 weeks.
No.
It can't change in 1 month. What does that mean? Consistency. The breast that has fallen, let me tell you, the breast that has fallen off, you feel like you've breastfed and it's going, it can feel form again. How? Simple things. Get tamarind oil, and then there's a fenugreek, either a powder or boil it and put in olive oil. And on a regular basis, massage your breast. Massage your breast. After 2 months or 1 month, you'll see the wrinkled breast that was falling, it starts feeling firm. Remember downstairs, same process. You jelk him, jelk. Just massage and jelk as if you're milking a cow. The first 2-3 weeks, you're going to realize a very firm, strong dick. The first 3 weeks, you feel it's firm. The next month, you feel as if because I remember a gentleman stood up one time and just looked at me and said, "Brian, put it down." Voila. Man, the guy was tall, huge, worked out, looked handsome. The guy came and knelt in my office. He was like, "Hey, you, is this like Brian?" In fact, women look at me, they admire me. And then when they get there, man, by the way, the thing was very small. It was as if my little finger. And something was wrong, not right about it. Like, let's start slowly. Don't create an anxiety on your body. Just work slowly. It's like going to the gym. You are that size, you can go to the gym and 3 years down the road, you look like a rock, someone. It's very possible because your body grows. That's how God made elasticity of the muscle. So work your muscle out. The first month, I swear, if you're consistent, you will see a girth of 1 millimeter changing. Soundness. There's a guy who said, "Man, I feel good when I stand up and my member is standing." And those days, I feel I have an erection, but it's not there. I have to support the guy to enter in territory. But if you feel like I am up and I can just stand and it goes in, it feels good. So do diligence. Whatever you do, you as a man, everything can change. That's one thing I'm sure about. The skill you can acquire. Physicality changes every day. Me, I'm telling you, I am a testimony of bad sex getting better because I chose to be consistent. And even now, I still do stuff. Wake up in the morning and I take care of my member. Wake up and massage him. Feels good. So that I'm sharpening. There are days you feel like, I'm not doing what I have to do. I'm a therapist. Now, thriller, either go down like a tequila shot. But the idea is, I don't want you to acquaint yourself to a place where the compulsive state is what we should kill. Everything God made natural can change your body. But the compulsive state is what we don't want. The guy will say, "Me, if I don't drink coffee, I won't sleep." That's wrong. We should kill the compulsiveness. But what am I trying to say? As a couple who is here, the day you stop talking about your sex, the day you feel shy to even address your sex problems, that's when marriage starts having issues. There's a day you can easily tell your mom, "Man, daddy, wild horse. And it's jokingly like that. I mix my wife's ebony, baby, ebony. They just mix and she goes to work with it. Because we are free. So create a freedom. Marriage is freedom. But also, as it becomes a freedom, also have your personal care pattern. You work this way. The last question, unless we have direct questions here, please. Any direct questions? Because I have one question left here in the channel. One said, is pulling important? Pulling is, to me as Brian, pulled thing has a special place in heaven. Sorry, I'm just saying. Pulling is like a car that has four-wheel drive and one that is not four-wheel drive. In a muddy environment, who goes fast? The four-wheel drive. Now, the pulled thing benefits the woman more than the man. Why? It increases sensitivity. That's two. If you find a man who's crazy like me, who likes playing around the environment and eating them, it's sensational. So the pulling benefits you. And as someone enters you, it grows. They wrap around the members. The sensitivity is increased. And there's nothing as ugly as a very loose thing that is not pulled. Because every time you open up, that truly is as wide. And now these people who eat, when you're not pulled and you open, when I come to eat and I look at that tree, it's not fun. Kind of scares me. It's like, hey, because now when you are wet, the vaginal mucus and the red zone doesn't look appealing to put my tongue in. Sorry, me, I eat. What am I trying to say? These things cover up for space. They create space. There's a way they cover for space. Now, the other thing that happens when you're not pulled, the vaginal farting, that kunyampa nyampa. Yeah? Someone is entering up, too much sound. Have you heard those stories? It happens when you're not really that. There's a woman actually who told me, Ryan, I quiff a lot. I can be walking on the stairs. I'm like, just walking on the stairs out of the blade. And I'm like, okay, let's create a story. Because but let me tell you, sex becomes fun when you take care of your physiology. That part is magical. Like how people say it's all the same. No, it's not the same. Me, I see different ones because of treatment, but it's not the same. So I can say pulling is important, but not for everyone's ears. It's up to you. You know, yes, madam.
And like you said, but they say in the long run, that the more you get older, then they freeze, and then yes, and then it be cold, something like that.
Yes, thank you. Like I said earlier, while they become cold, my job was acquaint yourself with taking care of yourself. Like it's a routine. Let me tell you, you see, men say your breasts fall. As old men also, their balls sag. Because the balls can be swinging down. You know why? Because they also don't take, you massage your balls, get your oil, massage them, feel them. As you're talking about the falling breast, everything on a man can also fall. Everything can fall. You can see stuff falling. So it's about taking care of yourself. I have seen old people. The last person, okay, I used to pull way back, but I have girls who do it now. The oldest person I have ever pulled was 53. And then she had a story. So I tell you, people have their own patterns. While you're pretending, some people are serious. This woman called me. She doesn't live here. She lives in the UK. And then she called me, that's around 5 years ago. Hey, Brian, I phoned a doctor. Man, this guy loves Ugandan girls. But the first thing he mentioned when he met me, Ugandan girls have pulled things. And they have a lot of water. So I have to come down home and pull these things. I'm coming anyway. I'll see you. I thought it was a joke. No, I thought it was a normal young girl. Then he comes, she had gray hair, but she was nice put. Small body. Hey, I'm here to pull. I was like, yeah, I am. Almost mentioned the name. It's me. I called you. I was like, hey, oh. The neck has an anger. I was like, hey. Madam. But what am I trying to say? At any stage of your life, you can change anything and work it out. So as your complaint is they grow old. No, the ones that grow old are the ones that are unkept. Any question? Any question? Any direct question? Any direct question? So this is the product. You see, God, one of the things that I've learned about God has a sense of humor. You see, this thing is called entangle. If you Google it, it looks like a dick and it has balls. Mr. is close. Look at it. If you Google it and Google entangle picture, it looks like a ball and the penis. That thing makes the penis strong and firm. So if you're here and your thing is weaker, just massage it. You see a growth. Just Google it, entangle picture hubs. It looks like a dick. Sorry, as a P. So any question, direct questions?
So a round of applause for Brian. I've learned many things, and I'm going to apply them. One of them is that do your thing. There is no formula there. Do your thing, learn each other. Yeah. Study the thing, massage it, do your thing. Do your thing, hello? Do your thing. And these stories are encouraging. Some people at 50, they are giving up. Whereas some people at 52, they are sharpening, they are encouraging. I will be the first to ask, but we are going to ask questions. If you feel shy to ask, where are the papers? The papers are there. You move them around, because there are some questions that we might feel shy to ask, but yet Brian is here.
Oh, there's someone online, I hear.
Someone, is she ready? Dennis, is that one online ready? How many minutes should we give ourselves? How many minutes? Like 20? Because he has to answer those questions. Like 20 only or 20 only. Yeah. My first question is, talk about menopause. And for men, what?
That one. I want flyers.
Yes. At what age? Should we be scared for our wives at 45, 50? Or is there a way you can overcome that weakness of menopause? Put up your hands for questions. Are you noting them?
Yes, I'm noting.
I saw a hand somewhere.
Hello, Brian. Thank you for a wonderful talk. I enjoy sex more because I deal with some of these people. So I think we can be partners in crime. Yeah.
Service.
Yeah, we are here to service you, by the way. I deal with most of the men and ladies, but something I've learned. Sometimes ladies, they come for the medicine for their guys, but guys fear. So as a person in service, how can I help? They will always complain, but they will fear to discuss and disclose everything about their ladies. How can they help each other? Thank you.
Finish writing the question, you put the paper up so that they pick it. Is there a hand? Okay, that's Jennifer.
Thank you, Brian, for the talk. But we want to know where we can find you in case someone wants to come to you. Thank you.
Read the number. Read the number. That one.
Okay. Someone asked my location. I am in Chanja, Komamboga Road. That's where my office is. Yeah. I am in Chanja, Komamboga Road. My cell phone number is 0701 0701 717167. 0701 717167. Those that prefer the MTN number is 772. MTN is 772 601858.
It's only women writing.
So it's okay. It's okay. Men have service providers. That's my location. My location is there, and also on my social media everywhere. It's Brian Semanda, Bryan, then Semanda, double S. Everywhere TikTok. Some of these lessons are there on my TikTok account. Yeah. The question my brother Raymond had asked first was about menopause. At what time? Now, see, medically, people have their codes and seasons for when they believe menopause can come and how they strike. But they strike different from different people based on their lifestyle. That's one. I have seen older women, much older, and they're still crazy. They're like, I don't feel any menopause. There's a woman who actually, she still goes in nappies. I know her, she's 55. She still has a period. I don't know how, but this is what I'm trying to say. Menopause is a fact of life. There's a girl I have at 38. She stopped going in nappies at 36. This is why. For her, she got cheated, stressed, dumped by the two men she had. At 30, she gave up on life. She stopped having sex. She just hated it anyway. Passionately. Like every time we talk about sex, like, ugh. But then later, at 38, she had stopped going in a piece at 36. When you look at her, you think she's very old. There's something about sex, my dear. If you have regular sex, there's a way even your menopause can go. Regular sex can throw them away because it keeps you in check. Now, menopause affects everyone differently. Now, for those who understand a bit of biology, there is what you call science has endocrine system. For us in therapy, we call it the chakra system. Now, most people, when talk about hormonal imbalance, they only think about reproductive hormones. But hormonal imbalance is a general chapter from the brain, the pineal gland, the thyroid gland. Now, why most women through their menopause have different issues? There's one who can actually just start to gain weight because your thyroid function is not working well. That's your other hormone. Your thyroid is not functioning, so you don't metabolize whatever you don't. Your body starts bulging. Others lose weight at a certain rate. Others, it's about reproductive. They don't want sex. They feel pain. There's a woman who say, Brian, every time I think about sex, I feel a cramp. Like I feel a cramp. Like if it enters, I feel pain. So some people in their menopause, they get what we call vaginal atrophy. The vagina pulls out of feeling, like it closes. Yet others, they get more horny and they need more sex at older age. That's why we have a lot of older women looking for the younger men to service. So menopause will treat you how you treat your life. It's not about age. I know young people, I know women who say, I don't feel I'm old. I'm 46. I feel like there's no change. I still, because of your health and how you live on a daily basis. Take care of yourself. I've seen a girl, this woman I'm talking about, she was 50. The only thing that changed on her was gray hair, but everything she was put. Her body was, but when I was pulling, I could feel that this is an old body, of course. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is menopause affects everyone separately based on their lifestyle. If you're always stressed, because there are people who actually have pineal gland issues, someone snaps very quickly, or niga, you have mood swings, like menopause can affect you that way, brain-wise. So everyone is dealt with separate with their menopause. Others, they choose to withdraw totally from people because they want to do their thing. Now, I have discovered women discover their sexuality at old age. That's why most people come to me I think I feel young now. 44, I just want to start life. Give me whatever. I want to make myself happy. Now, because they've been through all these years of doing stuff for men now, if you're a man here and your woman starts doing things for herself, that means she has discovered herself. And most of them do it at a later age. So menopause treat everyone separately based on how, can I have that? Everyone, based on how you live yourself. So live today happy. Take enough water, your skin won't run away. Do exercise, your skin, be happy. Have more sex. Have more sex if you want to be happy and stay younger. Menopause treat you how you treat your body, period. I've seen a man start talking to his wife, let's have more sex. That's a good thing. This person is asking, can regular sex make coochie large? Coochie is the chi. It doesn't, but also depends on how the user is doing. Tera. Also, regular can mean one person. One thing that makes coochie large is multiple users. I have been with younger girls who come, no babies, nothing. The girl has a wide tree because this member got used to. If you enter, if this one is the one that enters, she gets accustomed to that member alone. Now, if I put the other I put a leg, the other I put a head, the people who do weird stuff. There's a girl in those weird lessons of mine, because me, I did practical lessons. She had a dildo that was bigger than my hand. And then every time we're crazy, she would pull it as like, hey, remember this, use this. A dildo was too big, meanwhile, too big. So regular sex, if it's the same person, and the user is friendly to the thing. You see, this girl is like a car. If the driver is ramming it everywhere in wrong ways, it can change. There are positions that make your thing feel a bit loose and gassy. If you do a lot of doggy and member is longer, the continuous stamping continuously, just no more. There's nothing you can do to that coochie. That coochie is there to stay. Even though you're what? The only difference is the users can change it to be large. The other thing is the kachavali. The kachavali, if it's regular, it can make the matama fall a bit because regular flowing it down. You understand? And some people, the kachavali makes the clit also disappear a bit. Now it's inside, it's not popping out like this on the pool. So those are physiological facts that can happen to your coochie. Now, what we do, if you realize because if you go to a person whose man does kachavali alone, their thing is falling just there, flappy, because of style. Now, that's why we start massaging it to pump up and become chubby again. Like I said, everything on your body can change. So the largeness, regular does not make unless multiple users and wrong usage. There are styles people do that they just basically destroying. Is it okay to have sex in your period? Okay. For every married man, these things happen. But I will only tell you two simple medical facts. When this blood is coming out, it's already waste. Okay? It's like waste. It's wasted blood. It's not healthy blood. Remember us when we are entering, we sip out of you before we pour in you. So I wouldn't advise anyone to do sex in their period. But most people actually do it. Others do it for ritual purposes. I've had, there's a girl I found, poor young girl. She said she has a very rich man in Kampala. They have a contract. Every time she's in a period, she must give him sex at a fee, of course. So that's a ritual sex. So me, I don't believe it's okay. Mainly this heavy bleeding. Medically, it's not right because now you're flowing what should be coming out. Whatever you put, whatever is supposed to be flowing and you're putting it back, something goes wrong. So I don't believe in it. But lovers are crazy. There are days you can enter. The other thing I also realized when I grew up, blood doesn't be there flowing. No. We can actually spend a minute or 4 or 5 minutes when it's not coming. Nothing. So it's in there. But for purposes of clarity, be healthy. I'm a crazy chap. What was had sex in my piece? Mama wants to say something. For the seniors, we have to listen immediately.
I remember this. I'm married 52 years ago.
Man.
I'm 77 and my husband is 85. I want to give you how we have just lived ourselves. He met me when I was 21 and he was 28. Yes, he was, because he's ahead of me by 8 years. We have lived because we love each other. We didn't get, me, especially me, I didn't get any advice from anybody. What I have in me is what my husband put in me. Because I loved him, I still love him.
I did not use anything. What I know is him only. How to do children, you know how they learn cooking, you cook with stones, you do what, we do this. What we do is what we taught ourselves. And loving your pattern does not mean when you grow old, you stop. The more you grow, the more you love the person. And what I have experienced myself is when you love your pattern, it's not really sex. Anything you want always to go to bed and sleep with him. That is all you want. Not necessarily you want to do sex, but what you miss is I should go and find him and we sleep in our bed. I have never felt that he's old. I love him. He loves me. And he said, keeping naturally, we have kept ourselves naturally. No addition of this because we didn't have a chance of this. What we did is just keep healthy, no infection, and then you have a natural flavor. That one is you get it. He knows my natural flavor. He knows my natural flavor and he feels it. And even if we don't do the real with Dick, he knows where to touch it, and I feel good. And I know where to touch him. He also feels good. That's it.
Can you advise these young girls where to touch him? They don't know.
What I can only see, Nange, if you are lucky and you have somebody you love, that is the most important, to love. Me, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that I got the person I love. I have never wanted. I got what God made for myself. We have kept ourselves. You can take a month without sex, but because you sleep together, because you hold together, that is satisfaction. Anyway, if you have to know anything more, I'm always around. That is all I can say. I have no science. It is me, him, naturally. Jaja Aboli Tinkasimile, Monica.
Sharon was online. Is Sharon still there? She has left.
Now you see, Mama talked about the natural flavor. Me, I was telling you that natural flavor is a turn on. You see, me and my wife are playful. You go home and just touch it, and then smear it, and just give a hug. The aroma is a turn on. So natural flavor is the thing. Because we work in a society where people come up with different things. There's the girls who put perfumed, no, natural flavor. I love the word natural flavor. Keep it flavored, but natural. Let me continue my questions. They have a few. Why do women love?
I think it's infection.
Exactly, infections changes.
Settle the problem of infection. We are natural.
I'll also give you a trick how to deal with infections as I summarize. You remind me. Why do women love sex and are hyper when in their period? It's a natural thing because while they're in their period, now there's something I do. Me and I told you we are creative. When she's in a period, you see the clitoris, there's no blood there. This whole area going up, the clit is very big, meanwhile. Most people think, is that tip? If you know what to do, even around the pulp and massage continuously, but with rhythm, of course, discover slowly, she can actually have her orgasms without you entering. Just help her, don't go deeper. That's where blood is, up here, slowly, without removing parts. She will come and enjoy your sex. So women are naturally, that's an ovulation period. So it can be very, very crazy in there. There's only one time in my science, my spiritual gift. This lady used to look for a baby. She had failed to conceive for 5 years. They had issues. My simple wisdom, I told her, they had checked everything was normal. Have sex in your period. Have sex in your period. I swear, I wish I was lying. The woman got pregnant. Now, most people believe that our cycle is different. So I just go have sex in your period. It's like, I used to, please have. She has had 2 babies while she conceived in a period. So that's crazy, I'll tell you. So nature has it that way. In their ovulation, in their period, they can be very horny, but how you handle them is very key. You can just simply snuggle, kiss her properly, and a member will elate. Like Madame said, cuddle, hold her tight. Though some people, when people are in their period, they feel that someone is disgusting. There's a couple I had. Every time she's in a period, the husband doesn't want to sleep in the bed. It's like, I don't like the idea of blood. But also, some women can be too much. Because you're in your period, there's blood everywhere in the bathroom, you forget pads everywhere. So sometimes it's also not healthy. Be clean and hide. And there's something actually my auntie used to tell my sisters. You can be in your period and not even your husband will ever see your pad. He just knows you in your period. So this guy said that the first time I saw blood in a toilet, she hadn't flushed properly, it was sprinkled. I felt bad, so I get disgusted. So is it a must to have sex every day when married? But we talked about this thing. There is no must. These are love issues. There is not, it's a must. There is one gentleman I remember. That member, I don't know what he had eaten, but for him, every day he wanted. Even though you're in a period, you are sick, he wants sex. But also that is that's not love. That is being selfish. You must be able to know that, I want, but madam. Meanwhile, the funny thing about love, you see, with women, if you want sex and she doesn't want, don't sulk. Just go cuddle, hold her. It's okay, let's hold each other. You sleep slowly. Let me tell you, the funny thing about this, the body starts boiling. If you know it in your cuddle, she starts lifting up her leg, and you find your way in there. I mean, don't sulk because they have denied you sex. Stay around and hold. And hold and keep holding and just hold. Cuddle. Somewhere, someone gets along the fire. Because women sometimes don't be there when they're ready. You see, for us men, we are like gas. Women are like a fire. You first blow, no kumaka. You want, but you can't have. There's a man who said, Brian, the guy doesn't get up. I try. When you can, please have. But if you feel, you see, one thing I learned about love, if you feel as if being pushed, then that's not love. When you love someone, there's a way things become natural. God, there's no forcing. you find yourself doing it. If it's a do or die, there's a problem. That's not marriage. We believe in marriage that we cordial. But also, if it becomes too much of you not wanting, there's a problem. Because don't be selfish also because you don't want all the time. Are you your brother? If he's your brother, don't give him. But if he's your man, please give. You talked about massaging the penis, but does it make it weak in a longer run? No. This is what you need to understand. You must be intentional. Massaging is not just massage, it's called jelking. It increases blood flow to your penile muscle, but don't use a lot of energy. When you ganyo, you actually damage your muscle. So we believe in this practice. When we are teaching people, we say you massage for 3 days, break a day. It's like you cannot go to the gym every day of your life. They tell you to relax your muscles, to give room for growth. So when you massage your muscle and you feel like, yeah, I feel it, relax. 3 days for muscle growth. So don't massage every day. So it doesn't become smaller in the long run, my brother. If you're doing it right, relax a bit. By the way, you can actually also get olive oil alone. Olive oil and try. But this, if you get one that has things that are more direct to the penis, you can get clove oil because it's bunny, it's a little minty. Then you can put in a bit of aloe vera gel. It can help you grow and firm. But the Intengo is a standard pack. The other question is, after sex, is it true that when you stretch your penis with vaginal sex, with sex fluids, it enlarges? There's magic in pussy. There's even some girl I told, you don't have to pull using pulling oil. You can pull your things with your water. Just make it wet and start pulling. Just make it wet, start pulling. You'll be surprised. So if you believe the vaginal water makes your thing bigger, all you need is to increase fluidity. I mean, how can I say it? All you need is just flow. Because if it's dry, it can't flow. If it's no more oil, it can. So even the other vaginal water, it is slimy. It can create a little bit of magic. Me, I have magic in pussy water. That one. God knows what he put there. God knows. What happens if I'm the one lady who wants sex, but my husband does not want sex? You need to find out why. Because as I said, there are reasons why most people go through whatever they go through. If your husband is under any medication, it could be diabetic, it could be with high blood pressure. These things damage your sexuality. Low libido is associated with diabetic medicine. Low libido is associated with this other medication. If he's on maybe ARVs or something, all these things have a contraindication. Maybe he's dealing with something. So if it's you who want sex, how long is it stretched? If you want every day and member doesn't want every day, there's a problem. But also, some people are stressed. Like I told you earlier, stress lowers your testosterone production. If he's stressed, he comes home, he doesn't want. It's possible. But if it's too much also, it's not healthy. It shouldn't be too much. You cannot want for a week and a member doesn't want for a whole week. There's something wrong. So if he doesn't want, we go back to the problem. So one dangerous thing about women, whenever they have sexual problems with their women, with their husbands, they start condemning themselves. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I am not sweet. Sometimes if you do a SWOT analysis and figure out this, something where it's not right, fix it. Because there's a woman who came to Brian, Jerry can say she's evil. Like, what do you mean, go chizivu? My husband doesn't want sex, but the truth is, sometimes I also feel like I don't smell good. You can also know, Brian, I'm smelly. So my husband rejects me because of that. I want sex, I can be horny, but I'm smelly. So the idea is, if you do like a SWOT analysis, whoever asks this, and you figure out there's probably what you need to address. If there's nothing, one thing I believe, there's no sex problem that cannot be solved if you work. Pray to God. But one thing I want to tell you as Christians, please, prayer, don't substitute prayer with seeking for medical help. Don't substitute prayer. You don't pray for chijanjalo. You go and work on it. How can you pray for water? If you have a problem, go drink something. So my sister, if it's you once and the husband, if it's too prolonged, send him to me. I fix those issues. But also, sex to me is freedom. Like I said, I will repeat, freedom. How often should One have sex in a week. This is the same question. There is no how often. It is all about how flexible, how comfortable are we together. Because there is, most men, I will tell you, most men who are natural like me, can have sex every day. It's natural, but a woman can't. Sometimes you can't. Some women say after 3 days, I feel some pain. I want to relax. Because they are receivers. They get corrosed. Some men are too rough also, you bruise the woman. So the pain will be there. Some men don't know how to romance. There's a woman who says, Brian, this guy can have, the saliva. First of all, saliva dries a bit. The natural lubricant cannot come properly when there's saliva. That's why if you're a eater of the thing, don't pour saliva in there because it's acidic. It changes the pH and the normal flora of the V. So if you're an eater, don't pour too much saliva there. Okay? Eat with raw version. Eat, I don't teach you how to eat. Eat raw. Don't pour too much saliva in there. There's another person who was telling me this guy, they would be kissing and the guy would gather too much saliva and he pours it into, it felt so ugly. Like he would gather so much saliva and pours into her mouth. So sexiness is creativity, like I said. So the eater, you can have sex whenever you feel like you have. There is no principle. It has to be, this is not a dose 3 times a day. Anytime you feel you're comfortable with each other. The one thing I also need to tell men, don't create this demand of sex. Sometimes a turn off if you're too demanding. Like, what's wrong? There's a gentleman there's this couple who said, but we can be in the bed and you hear his colleague touching you down. He starts pushing your colleague. Now out of the blue, you feel a thing touching your bums. No. Create an environment where it's going to be casual. Because some women like being begged. Some women like being begged, by the way. If she says no, don't also say, okay, bagay. Some women like to be, pursued. Women naturally, she can say no, kumbe she wants to hold. She says no, but she wants to cuddle you. You see that suicide, eh? She says, now we need that, but she's cuddling. Now we need that, but she's coming closer. That means wait a bit. Because most men, women chukulega, and you're going to come in 1-3 minutes. And women take 5, 15, 20 minutes to get there. Meaning women actually prefer better foreplay to bad sex. There's a guy who told me, Brian, I'd rather have a guy do very good foreplay and we don't even have sex. Cuddle, kiss each other and go away. Than this vandalizing 3 hours, it's not nice. So there's no rule to how many. These ones are very many. But we will, okay. I would like to know more about sex. 1, how many times relatively enough to have sex in a week? That's when I've answered. Once a week, at least have sex whenever you need. Don't create that one. Okay, what about the jazz stories? To have before or during sex. You see, that's the kavozi. That's why the Baganda call it a kavozi kechukuru. Just create a chivozi. Just kugea people. Just talk about people. Just create a chivozi. Create. Let me tell you something about us men. Even when the voice is not heard, you just rumble. Just create a story. Because one thing I know, in that creativity, something is boiling. No. Let me tell you, there's a thing God put in our voice. Even though it's like a small one, say something. Don't be quiet. Because when you are quiet, you see, if you are, like I said, creativity works this way. When you ask a woman, just, how do you like what I'm doing? Do you like it slow or quick? Hey, wait, do you like when I pause? Not this way. That's a chivozi. Like, before you know it, it's like, hey, wait, go back to the slow one. And then you go back to the slow one. Wait, okay, yeah, that is it. And you're like, okay, cool. Do you like me to go deeper inside or outside here? Wait, go outside. Okay, first go back inside a little. You're creating a chivozi. Before you know it, the story is running. Now, when you're too serious, you're going to come quickly. But when you enter, do you like it slow? And then come out. Wait, do you like it on top? And put it on? That's it. Who doesn't know how to talk? And then simply communicate. There's what we call the static position. Now, in our therapy world, most people have. If you get moments where you are in a chairman's day, you know a chairman's chair? Chairman's chair. Some days I have sex during the day, when it's light. Sit in the chairman's chair and madam sits and talk to each other. You're just there doing nothing. Static position. Member is inside there finding villages, and you're just relaxing and looking at each other and say, just communicate, just look at yourself without saying nothing. Look at your eyes. Our eyes, there's so much to say. Speak on this most of the time when we are doing mine. It's beautiful to hear a local language, but you go deeper. It's not fun. So the creativity must be find a study. Look at our eyes. There's so much to admire about our body, about your way. There's so much to talk about. You can actually remember. Remember when we first met. Remember that cassex? This cassex. You see, every couple has a cassex that was special. Every couple has a day that was crazy. Every couple has a moment to remember. Huh? Like, hey, do you remember when the kids came? Remember the kids were coming and then we covered. Remember? Like, there's a story. You people, I love sex. So the jazz, the kavozi, there's a lot to talk about. Negwe, Memwana kati nze bwiri bisajja nga bikwana but niga asanga namusajja akusemberere. And if I see a dog, even though it's male, I'll be mad. Just create a story. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful creativity is the key thing. Me, I am creative. Create a story out of nowhere. I saw just create and laugh. You say you have laughed. Okay. Minus kissing, screaming, romancing. Is there any action to make sex more fun? Other ways of making sex more fun. Okay, sex more fun. Like I said earlier, the body of a woman is made in a way that it receives whatever comes. There's this, I told you I'm creative. There's this one point I remember. I just put my knee, just put it there, around the, in between. Someone was just rolling herself on there, and we are talking. Meanwhile, in every action, be communicating. We're just there, and I'm doing nothing, just my knee around the flower. So, like in the knee, what I figured out is when the woman is already turned on, whatever you do can work. When she's turned on, whatever you do, yet have a massage day, like too crazy. See, I love going for massages. I'm a therapist, so I know what massage does to me. And if you are here and you cannot massage, you just get oil and massage each other. There is no action that is better than understanding your body and acquainting yourself with each other. Shaving. There's a woman who said, "Man, there's nothing that turns me on like my husband shaving me. It's the best moment." But yet, even you, this is magical. There's a story I remember. Nothing turns women on like a man who does some housework. I told my wife I used to love cleaning the bathroom. I love cleaning the bathroom. This woman used to look at me when I'm scrubbing the bathroom. Like, the way you scrub the bathroom. Like, it was a joke. You see how you are moving your hand while scrubbing? Just try moving it the same way. Creativity. So stories can be created everywhere. So turning your woman on should be in everything you do. Just play, be playful. Don't be too serious. There's so many fun activities you can do in the car, at the beach. There's one thing I remember. It was raining and the kids had gone. I had holiday makers because I have my one baby. And we just stepped out in the rain and started playing.
guy playing in the rain. And we had some sex in the rain. So sex is creativity. Don't be too old school. Meanwhile, for those who are married to very tough men, the things you fear to do to your husband, some bitch out there is doing it to her. There's this woman I'd never forget. Woman said, Brian, my husband is tough. But the things she slid into the husband's phone, the things she saw in this phone, she said, Brian, I can never believe this girl. My husband was narrating things they have done. Yet this man has always didn't want anything. This man didn't want to go down on him. It's a typical Munyankore, you don't eat. No. But in her story, she said, my man never wanted nothing to do with that. Has never eaten my nank, we don't eat. But the story was, man, the way you eat me, the way we eat each other. Like, it was funny that the things he never wanted or he never talked about in the marriage, he's busy doing the same with this little young girl at campus. She was a campus girl, very young, 24 years old. And then the woman went through her, looked at her, she was humble. And they say, Brian, this man is a very big man, respectable. But the things he was chatting with this girl made me believe men are evil. No, men are not evil. You probably did not find, no, they're not evil. You probably did not acquaint yourself to find out what your man wanted. Because now, most women, kindly listen, you do a lot of things thinking that's what we want. There's a lot of women come and do so many things. Never do anything to please a man. First, understand your man and understand what he wants. Because there are things you will do. I don't want them. There's a guy who said, I've done everything for you. And the guy said, no, you're lying. The things you don't do is exactly what I want. Everything you're doing, I don't want. So you can do 99% of the things, and this one thing you're not doing, it's exactly what you want. So sometimes kill the boredom. Kill the boredom. My last question on this paper, as I summarize. What if you are not in a good mood, or you are very pissed? Is it okay to refuse that night? And if she insists, how can I go about it? Don't mix children's behaviors in adult business. What do I mean? When you have issues with your man, don't involve children. Now, your brain is what is mad. These are the children. Let the kids play and quarrel later. Let the kids play and quarrel later. This is what I remember one time says, you see, the creativity of this fun, you see, we be playful about these communications. One time I told this woman, she was actually saying, Brian, this guy is mad, msaja munyivu. And I told them, like it was a just joke. The guy looked at her, are you crazy? She went to her, just go to the bed. Sleeping, just sorry, that's allowed. Eh? Just touch yourself and feel good about yourself. And the guys, what are you doing also? And they flip over and they entered the promised land. What am I trying to say? When you are so mad at each other, if it's something you can talk about it, talk about it. Now, 90% of men, sometimes women get mad over things we don't even know. One thing I don't like about women, expecting men to be angels, to know what I did. No. Most of us men, we don't know. I'm like, there are things that a man comes for a week. He comes, he thinks everything is normal. But madam is sulking. And I literally do not. Why do you want me to ask me? Sit me down and say, Brian, you did something wrong I don't like. So communication is key. So if you're pissed at things that are natural, for example, I did something wrong and I didn't say sorry, mention, I'll say sorry and we go on. But one thing I know about marriage, those moments are going to be there. Now, because it's a concern that you're pissed at him, but he wants. For us men, how we say sorry, a man can be pissed and you see his heart. The moment you give me sex, I know we have been forgiven. Solving issues. Makeup sex is the best. So when you're pissed, then I believe this is way. We can be pissed. I also get pissed also, and I don't want to touch it. But because I know it's responsibility, sometimes I wake up. For us men, we can get horny at night. Go ever say the thing gets up. Sleeping. So if he refused and you see it's getting up, it wakes up when you're inside. Me, the moments I've woken up and the thing is inside. Okay. I am up when the thing is inside. So if he's mad at you, let me tell you, when a man is sleeping and you start massaging him, his thing will get up. Naturally, we can sleep and the thing is up. There are days I wake up and the thing is inside. I'm like, yeah, and I continue from there. But what I want to say, sex, make marriage fun in a way that you don't create anything that's spent. There's a couple that came, they had not talked to each other for 6 months. They will come, look at each other, text and go, text and go. Anything beyond 3 weeks, 2 weeks, that's too much. Too much. Unless it's not a marriage. Because I have marriages where people spend years, 6, there's no sex, but they stay in the same house. They all agreed. Do your business, I do my business. So I don't believe in that. People do that. I'm in couple session that you get amazed. This man has not touched me for 2 years. There's this woman, most men keep quiet meanwhile. Men don't keep quiet because they don't have what to say. Sometimes they think it's okay to avoid drama. There's this one gentleman who kept quiet for 1 month. He would come home, not say nothing. 1 month, 2nd month. Meanwhile, the woman didn't know what happened. He came like, what's wrong? I said, no, don't worry. 6 months, the guy is quiet. The woman went to church members, church elders, council. They were asking the guy what happened. The guy kept quiet. The woman got pregnant in this period. How men are weird. She got pregnant, but the man knew it's not her pregnancy. So she also kept the pregnancy. After the guy realized 3 months of pregnancy, then he moved out. Until now, he has never told her what happened. The guy just kept quiet. This guy just kept quiet. Not that gender. Even women go through this. What am I trying to say? When something is too much, it becomes too bad. So anyway, as I summarize, if you want a product, please feel free to come and pick a product. Come again? You have a question? Ask.
Want to ask on the microphone? Please, you can pass the madam there.
Thank you, Brian and Raymond. My question is it possible that when you're pregnant and Mr. enters, akona ku baby?
In 1 minute, please just give Mr. something. The baby is very safe. The baby is very safe unless Mr. is a horse. Unless Mr. is too long, like it keeps on hitting the cervix, because when you get pregnant, it closes. Anything that disturbs it continuously, it will irritate the baby. But not many. If it's too long, give half. Create. I mean, but you can feel, because if he's coming too much, you can control, like, stop there, baby girl. But too much sex is good for the baby. Every time a man comes into you, the baby feels like, yeah, that's my daddy. That's my daddy. That's my daddy. So have enough sex. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Come again. In 1 minute, infections.
Now, infection. See, the vagina has a way it cleans itself. But this is one thing most people are doing wrong. Now, when you wear too much knickers, because every time the vagina keeps on breathing, it discharges. You get wet and wet. So when you keep on wearing the knickers, it has to breathe. Put it away. If you suffer infections, first put away. Now, avoid too much washing of the vagina. Too much washing. Now, the other thing we have a problem with tap water. 90% of Kampala water is tap water with old taps. Many those people are in these areas of Jinda. This is very old. So the water in there, the chlorine is caustic to vagina. Because of that, you have to start boiling the water you're using to wash. That's one principle. The other thing is alkalize. Probably if you cannot boil, get bicarbonate of soda, drop in the water, wash. Throw away knickers, take a lot of water. Avoid too much sugars, because now most women call them as infections, but these are yeast induced. Too much sugar, too much cake. So when you figure out you suffer them, diagnose. Now, the other problem most people do, you're married, you treat alone. The member comes back with the same bacteria, throws into you. He goes away. So when you have an infection, treat both of you. It's important. Most men don't feel it immediately, because for us, it takes long. By the time it comes, It's already too bad. So now the other issue is most people believe the vaginal care pattern is what's important. Washing too much every time kills the natural flora that will have fought this girl. Let it smell. The women who believe that too much washing makes it smell good. No, let its natural smell. If you're dealing with infection, throw away the knickers. Jamu empare. It's very cool. Yes, feel free, walk free. If you're too wet, get tissue, wipe, throw, and continue movement. But one thing is, you also start drinking a lot of attention. Take a lot of alkaline water. It'll help you wash out properly. And there's a product you can take, asparagus. Asparagus is a herb. You can actually find it in Nakasero. When it's dry, you put it in hot water. It flushes properly well. Take a lot of water. Don't wash the chijanjalo too much. Whatever you can't eat, don't put it there, period. There's even a problem as most condoms cause infections. Most condoms. Yes, most, because the petroleum in there, some people are anti that. The petroleum, the benzene, the oil that is in the condom is not vaginal friendly. Most people believe that. So just catch the pattern. When you're going to pee anywhere, work with jig. First, sprinkle jig in the toilet or pour a tissue in there and then pee. And then people believe that the sprinkles that come backflow cause that. So put tissue in, flush first, put tissue in, or spray some bottle, detergent, then pee. And after that, do the same. Flush and go. Keep that trend. The people who believe that I don't pee anywhere besides my own toilet. But of course, sometimes it's too much because you have work. There's a lady who said, Brian, I walk with my bucket in my car. I go back to the car and I pee in a bucket. I cover and go. And that's how she dealt with infections. People have infections at work everywhere. So you pick them from there. That's the principle. The other one is, it says to me, I pee in the bushes. I just park by somewhere, I go somewhere, I pee. I pee on the floor, I don't pee in the toilet. Of course, it was unclean. But what I'm trying to say, if you suffer infections, reduce sugars, sodas, yeast, put away yeast, bread, cake, and all those things. It will help you deal with the yeast infections. Thank you so much. Someone has a question. Okay, supplementing. Thank you. Musao.
With dealing with infection, yes, it's okay to do away with knickers. Thank you very much. It's okay to do away with knickers and eat yogurt regularly. And please, when you're washing the cookie, do not put your fingers in. Wash the outward. Yes, do not put your fingers in. The only thing that goes in there is your man's guy and his maybe tongue and fingers when they are clean. And please, after periods, it's okay to steam. You steam with cloves. You boil your water, put in a bucket or something that you can sit on, cover yourself up and steam that cookie. It's good.
Obugalo. So you buy those things, asparagus. Asparagus, what's asparagus in Uganda? Muluganda asparagus church.
It's a fresh herb. You can actually eat it raw. But the powdered version is better. It's actually good with smooth. It's like a sugar cane, but finger-like size. They look like sugar canes.
So if you get Brian's number, he can get you asparagus. So a round of applause for Brian. You know this topic, when you go to people who counsel, they will tell you don't respect your husband, what. So this was a good opportunity. And one of the things that has caused so many problems in the marriage is this thing, but we don't talk about it. A man will say, my wife doesn't respect me, yet I'm umma. So this is very important. And Brian, if we call you back, come back, say that very soon, say that you help us. Vincent, come and give a vote of thanks to Brian and to these members who have sat here our chairperson Bafumbo, mumwongere obugala bugume.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we recognize and honor your presence, having kept with us all this long. Mr. Brian, I think you pick another name from Ntinda, Brian Semanda, creativity, you know. Yes, I was so fascinated by your presentation, full of creativity and your enormous effort to help marriages live. No, marriages keep suffocating. People don't want to talk about issues, and these are the pertinent issues. So having you here to address this very sensitive area in a marriage is quite thoughtful and mindful, and we are so glad. You know, we are the numbers you can see here, but beyond here, there are other guests online who are quite a number. Quite a number, so many, close to 200 if I'm not wrong. So you have been speaking to the world. Thank you so much, Brian. You are helping marriages live, and you are having God's blessing for that. To you, friends present here and those of us online, this was part of the Family and Marriage Ministry called the Marriage Conversations under the Family and Marriage Ministry. And we have these topics that change over time. It is, we have Maria Goret, who is directly in charge of this session, the Marriage Conversations. Please, we are so happy that you were able to join us this time around. Next time when we have another topic, as you suggest, definitely we shall keep you informed. Otherwise, as of today, we thank you so much for having kept with us. May God bless you. Tugende tubere creative. Brian's happiness is when the marriages are moving on and alive. We have Jaja here. Thank you so much. Yes, that your input was quite an icing on a cake. Thank you so much. All who have come for the very first time, please keep journeying with us. We have so many things in stock. What would call the ongoing formation in a marriage. Some of us get these marriage instructions and you end at that. But the church has provided you with so many, such a presentation from Brian. I mean, did you have that in your marriage instructions? Please keep close to your church and benefit from these details. They help you live. I thank you so much. Wanga wishes you very well. He was so happy that you're here. He's aware and he's so happy that you're intentional about keeping your marriages alive. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. As Maria Great comes to tell us about Bafumbo on Sunday in 1 minute, Edmond, you will give us a closing prayer. You want to ask?
On computer, no, something you started with us. Can we get that?
Unfortunately, we didn't put our emails on our registration, but I'll look for you. Yes. Okay, you can register there your emails, those who want. Yeah, thank you.
A very good evening to us all. So, Maria Goretti is my name. And I don't know when I became in charge of marriage conversations. I know it is family ministry in charge of marriage conversations, but because I am the one who is always fronting it, always preaching the gospel. So it is believed that I'm in charge, but the family and marriage ministry is directly in charge. I may just be here to organize your tea and make sure the place is set, but the marriage ministry directly in charge, and we serve with a big committee. Now, Bafumbo week, it is Thursday. Tomorrow we have the youth. Please, youth, please, if you're below the age of 35, please be here. We shall have another more feeling session. Today we had a fulfilling one, and I believe everyone who has been here is going to go home with something new. So it may not be too many things, just one thing. I keep telling people, just take one thing to practice. Everything in the book, in the textbook, you may not manage. Just one thing to practice. When you master it, pick another one. So just get one thing to practice and then pick another one when you've mastered it. Tomorrow, the youth, we are here for coffee at church, and there's a lot in stock for you as well. The Bafumbo have organized for us, the youth. So if you know you're below the age of 35, between 35 and 17, 18 and 35, please be here. It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or not, or student, it doesn't matter as long as you're a youth, the information will be vital. Then on Saturday, after morning mass, on Saturday, this is for us. Since we are coming on Sunday for Bafumbo Day, let's come geared up to have our confessions. Please, 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 let's go for the sacrament of penance, because it is in the sacrament of penance that we get healing. Our marriages will not thrive without that healing. I have a testimony from that. So please, 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 let's try to make it for confessions in the morning, or just bombard any priest you see them. They will help you. I use that a lot. And then another thing, Sunday, we should be here by midday, latest midday, so that we make our lines and they know that Bafumbo are organized. Mass is starting at 1. Let the procession hymn start at 1, not us get in line at 1. Okay? Make sure that you have everything ready before then. Gomez says you have to come early and Kwetereza. Otherwise, the kanzu you will be holding it, ejakutega. Please come early so that we avoid any inconveniences. And then we are expected with a tangible gift for offertory. If you need ideas on the gifts, there is a list in the office, or you can contact me directly, and then I'll forward you the list and you choose any. If you need it wrapped for you here at church, I'll be available Saturday evening to wrap every gift that comes in Saturday evening, and Sunday morning between 10 and midday. After midday, I won't be touching them. Okay? Too much information. Thank you so much, and have a blessed evening. I'll see you tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday, depending on which group you fall in. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Maria Goretti Mwongere Bugara. Those who will be first come and first serve, there are so many products here. Nzikute munenda banga na appetite yankute. Ziri one. So immediately after prayer, just run. And Mulife, you get something from here. Edmond, you come and give us a prayer. So let's stand up for the prayer.
Let's all get standing, and let's all humble ourselves for a very short prayer. In the name of the Father, of the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, we are gathered here not by accident. It was your plan. Bring us together, the young, the old, the knowledgeable, those to teach, those to listen. The teaching is intentional. It is the reason you created Adam and Eve. It's that reason we're here. Thank you, Lord, for all that you've packaged us with. Walk with us in this journey. Walk with the young in this journey. Let the old be close, keep guiding the young. The world that we live in today is full of evil. And Lord, without you full in our lives, the institution of marriage just keeps getting watered down. And that's why we need these lessons. We need the Raymonds. We need the Brians. We need the Maria Gorettis. We need the judges here to talk to us, to talk to our children. Thank you for this wonderful day that we've had here together. As we go home, take care of us. Take care of us, our security until we are home. And let us sleep over all that we've slept, we've planned today, until we return again tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday for more and more and more. Father, we pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
So on the